If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call and talk show all about the Wheel of Time. And tonight we are here to break down episode 6 of the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Cannot wait to do that with you. Just as a reminder, though, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, I'll be interviewing Taylor Napier here at the Dusty Wheel live. Please tune into that. It's going to be a blast to have him here. I can't wait to chat with him. And a few of you actually won the opportunity to ask some questions. So thank you very much for submitting those. I'll make sure that I ask him your questions. So again, that's Friday tomorrow here. You can go see the video is actually out there right now. You can go set a reminder for it. It's going to be so much fun. Again, it'll just be an interview. There's no call-in aspect to that show. But again, 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Make sure you're there. Okay, that's it. That's the only announcements I'm going to make you go through. Now, to break down episode 6 with me are two wonderful guests. Let me welcome to the Dusty Wheel Amy Ratcliffe and John from What Up. How you both doing tonight?
So excited to be here.
Well, Amy, you are a managing editor at Nerdist. You also are an author. You're a huge Wheel of Time geek. And John, you're just a geek. No,
I'm John.
Kidding. John's awesome. John runs What Up. If you've never seen John's channel, I'll get it into the description of this video. I'm sure our admins here in chat will put his link up there too. John does amazing work over at What Up. And I love having him here. I think, John, what is this, your 11th time?
42nd time on the show.
Like counting, I don't know. You've been here a number of times. But Amy, this is your first time on here. Thank you for joining us. How excited are you about episode 6 of the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime?
Well, so excited. I think, you and I had connected about like maybe popping by the show at some point during the season in early October. What is time? I don't know. But then when you asked what episode, I'm like, I know it's a while, but like episode 6, because I had seen Screeners a couple weeks later, and I'm like, it's my favorite of them so far. So
yeah, that's what's interesting about that is it is my favorite too. And I noticed this is like everything. Like 5, people were like loving 5, loving 4, loving 3, and I was stuck on 3 for a while. 3 was my favorite, and now it is 6. And I saw people ask questions on like Twitter and across social media. They're like, "Why this one? This one doesn't hit me," And so it's a really funny kind of experience. So I'm kind of curious, John. 6 your favorite? Where does 6 kind of end for you, or in the list now? We have 6 episodes.
I would say 6 is my second favorite.
Second favorite.
Still up there.
Yes, it's up there. 4 was still my favorite. I absolutely loved 4. But yeah, 6 second favorite at this point. I was surprised in a great way watching it.
Yeah, I and by the way, thank you very much, Shannon. Threw this up. I never stopped loving the Wheel of Time, but somehow I'm falling in love with it all over again. Yeah, I know that that's not been an experience for every fan. I'm sure not necessarily every fan here in chat, but for Shannon, I totally understand that. I I think I wrote this. I was feeling chills like half this episode because it was like hitting really fun book beats, but then it was also like I was on the edge of my seat of like, where are they going? Like, what's happening? I don't like the surprise, and there's like an anxiousness about like, wait, no, don't end. So Amy, like I know we're gonna try to. Oh, by the way, everyone's kind of probably asking this question in chat across wherever this social media is dropping right now. Let me just remind everybody, we're going to stick no book spoilers for the first 20, 30 minutes. So why don't we stay in that regard? But Amy, you said this is your favorite in a no book spoiler way. Why is this one your favorite?
Swan and Moraine, like that simple. Like Swan alone, like the Emerald Seat, that is a character, who I've been very fascinated with throughout the books and really wanted, as a teenager. I'm like, I want a stole. I was, from a very small farm town in Ohio. I didn't really know what a stole was and didn't have like internet access to look it up, but it sounded cool. And Sophie Okonedo, like the way she commands the room as Amerlin Seat, just absolute ferocity and this commanding presence. And then when we learned about Moraine and her actually have a relationship, it just makes me very, very happy.
Well, I did see some people some fans that were kind of surprised by this, which surprised me. But I guess like if
that surprised me too.
And I guess I was somewhat surprised because this is one of those things, right? New Spring, this is one of those awarenesses that fans have, that there was a relationship here between these two. So, this is where one of the kind of discussions we've had as fandom of Pillow Friends comes from. If these are new viewers out there, and I guess I just did a book spoiler.
You did. You're terrible.
No book spoilers.
Like, just a little bit.
No book spoilers. It was a small one, but yeah, sorry, my bad. But anyways, this one didn't surprise me as much. I agree. I'll try to stay away from book spoilers. Look, it just happens. I've been reading these books too long. I mean, again, that relationship is a surprise for a lot of viewers out there. And John, I know you said you weren't surprised. Did you like how they presented this relationship?
I did. I really did. It's hard to talk about with the book spoilers. That's terrible. You're a horrible person.
I'm a horrible person. Yeah. No, but
I like
in the context of how they ended. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in the terms of the show, it was really good. I mean, the fact that they showcased how secret it is and how they could act a certain way in public, especially where they can't lie and they have to abide by the 3 oaths. I really, really like the fact that they included her swearing the oath rod, because again, this alludes to something later in the book series that we're not going to get into because there's no book spoilers, but I like that because they're explaining things and setting things up now that are going to become very important later. And I just like the way they handled that part.
Yeah, Amy, were you surprised with the oath rod? Obviously, for new viewers hitting this, did it make sense to you as a viewer, as you're watching, and you're like, I understand what's happening here?
I think so, but I gotta say, when the trailer came out that had the oath rod and they cut Moraine saying the 3 oaths over it, I thought all that was a flashback. Mm-hmm. So then seeing it as it was actually, I was like, oh, that's what you're doing. And what I end up doing, because my husband hasn't read the books, is we'll finish an episode, and I'm sure he loves this, where I just quiz him, like, well, what did you think about this? Did you understand what that was? Right. Do you feel like it's, and he's probably like, I liked it. Can we stop?
Yeah.
I think the oath rod worked based on my perception and my grilling my husband at what he perceived from the oath rod.
Well, and John, do you want to throw out, like, just for new viewers here, an explanation, like stepping back from spoiling the books? What does the oath rod do? Just generally speaking.
Generally. Okay, so not super in depth and spoiling things.
Just generally speaking, what is how do you encapsulate what the oath rod is?
Right. So essentially, what I think the oath rod is it's an object of power that, when channeled into, anything they say, they're binded to that. So if they say the 3 oaths, to speak no word is not true, there's one of them, they no longer can do that. They are actually physically prevented from doing that. And for example, if they're also, say, swear fealty to someone on the oath rod and they command them to lie, the 2 oaths kind of combat with each other, and it could end up with really bad consequences. So Moraine swearing the fact that she would not come back to the tower until Swan called her back, not the Amerlin. That was a very good distinction, because when Swan said it, she said she actually spoke the words to the Amerlin. Yeah, no, Moraine said Swan. I think that's going to be very important much later. The power there is that she has to abide by that no matter what. So she can no longer step foot in the tower, not the city, not across the bridges, not in the harbor, but the tower specifically itself. And there's all those neat little bits that I really like about it.
Yeah. I want to, yeah, go ahead, Amy. You were going to ask something there?
Oh, sorry. I was going to add, I really liked that Moraine said at the end, first of all, the expressions on Moraine's and Swan's faces when that happened. But when she called back to what Swan's father said and said at the end, Swan Sanche, daughter of the river, clever as a pike, strong as the tide. I was like, strong as the tide.
Right. Yeah, no, this one did catch me kind of emotionally. I think that's what I liked. Someone asked, like, why this one? 3 and 6, I felt like emotionally engaged in the story. And the other one's not as much for me. Like, I was staying outside of them, and this one really pulled me in. And I think I felt that with this, if you will. So, and I think you're right. There's a moment with her exile. I think I did. I think I shed a tear. Like, as she was writing out, like, it just hit me. Like, here's Moraine, and she's been exiled. And that is pretty brutal for for everything she's put into this. By the way, almost 1,000 of you voted on this poll. First reactions. What did you think of episode 6? 57% of you said loved it. 51% of you said liked it, and 12% of you said, "Oh, I put med." That's a classic poll right there. That was supposed to be like meh, but it was like, I don't think I noticed. I'm sure there are people making fun of me for that one. But so it looks like 88% of the fans liked it or loved it. So I think that was actually, those were switched for episode 5. There were more that liked it than loved it, versus this one is loved it versus liked it. So, okay, I wasn't sure, because those first reactions I saw from fans, I was like, what's going on here? So I want to ask everybody in chat, this is Amy, this is something we do around here. We just poll this place all day long. All these fans have showed up. And
notice that when I drop in, it's very fun.
Okay, so the poll I think we need to talk about is, did you like the treatment of the Oath Rod, or something to that effect? Like, did you like how they used the Oath Rod? And anyone that's here, new viewers, old viewers, or old viewers, yeah, readers
like me, I'm
literally,
I think you can answer that question. It's something that can kind of still be part of this. And I'm seeing a lot of questions come into chat. I'm taking down everyone that's doing a super chat here. As I go, I'm making a list. We will cover those questions that you have. We'll get to them here shortly. So Swan and Moraine, obviously that is a significant part of this. And it had to be a surprise to viewers in this moment that these two were in cahoots, right? That is...
oh, gosh, right.
I mean, Amy, you're talking about kind of a moment, obviously, at the end with the Oath Rod is pretty emotional. But that beginning part where she is bowing, kneeling on the floor, Sophie Okonedo commands that room. What did you think about that scene with Alvaro and then with Moraine?
Well, it's been really impressive that it lived up. So across the episodes, we've been hearing other Aes Sedai, particularly in episode 4, I guess that was basically cautioning against the Amerlin seats. She's not gonna be happy, and just having deference.
Yeah.
So she had, I think, a lot to live up to. But then as soon as she sits in the room and looks down, I'm like, she is the Amerlin, and she is the boss of, just let her rule the world. I'm fine with it. And I really liked 2 things about her, particularly 2 things about her interaction with Logain. Is first of all, she's he doesn't need to be chained.
Yeah.
What harm is he going to do? But then I strongly appreciate, she was on to him, and she's I know you want to be killed, and I feel for Logain, despite I know he's caused harm as well, but that's a terrible thing to have. I can only imagine a terrible thing to have done, but I like the way she delivered. That sounds weird. I like the way she delivered that punishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was just so authoritative, and I'm like, she brooks no.
Yeah.
Who's going to question her?
That was I mean, the most powerful woman in the world, right? And I feel like that had to come across. And I feel like in that moment, because I was like, hey, be nice to Logain, you don't have to. And she literally was just no nonsense. And I appreciated that afterwards, as much as I was like, damn.
I know,
That
harsh.
was brutal. John,
but-
yeah, John, did you like that? I thought that Alvaro Sophie moment was so powerful. How did that kind of hit for you as you watched that come together?
I was blown away. I mean, the acting alone from everybody really has been fantastic, but Alvaro, fantastic. And Sophie, she mixed the right amount of authority, like you said, no nonsense. And she looked tired too. She just looked like it was weighing on her the whole time. And it was perfect, just absolutely perfect. And for anyone who didn't really know, or maybe, didn't know there was a relationship between the two of them, you never would have guessed. At least that first initial meeting, right? And it was fantastic.
Yeah. By the way, I have to say I loved this. This was, to our non-book readers, you wouldn't have maybe caught this, but maybe you thought the same thing, which you're like, it's called the Amerlin seat, and they called her the Amerlin seat. But I loved this moment where she's like, that's confusing. That's like, those moments always make me laugh. Like, yeah,
you're right. It is, Egwene.
It is confusing. It's just a really funny moment. More than 600 voted on this one. Do you like how they used Oath Rod? What do you think this is going to turn out, Amy? I don't know if you're in chat. If you're seeing this, are you seeing the poll?
No, I can't multitask like that.
Do you think that everybody liked the Oath Rod or not? Or how do you think this turned out?
I feel like yes.
Okay, 77%. You're right. 77% of people liked how they. I saw some. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Kind of feel for it. I want to ask everybody this: was Swan too tough on Logain? Let's. I don't think so. I wanted as a viewer to be like, oh, don't. That's a little bit much on Logain there. But at the same time, I thought it was really powerful, and I love the words that she said. And I won't comment on them. But she said something like, "You'll be researched" or something like that, and studied, and never free. And I was like, brutal. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I loved that particular moment, if you will. So I do want to ask, though, obviously their relationship, people are asking this question, and I have an answer for this, but everyone was talking about, like, what's that thing on Moraine's the wall of her room? And then I've seen some people kind of think that there may have been, we have to be really careful here to not kind of go into spoilers for the books. But what is this thing on the wall? And I think it's fair for us to attempt to kind of define this. So how would you define this, John? Do you have an explanation for this one? This is the image I'm talking about, everybody.
Without spoiling anything,
spoiling.
really, I would say we'll call it a Terran Grail. I would say probably matched to one that Swan has, and it allows the ability to be in the same location as the other one. Yeah,
it has.
I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, I think for a new viewer coming in, there was some measure. Obviously, this thing on the wall seems to almost certainly be a Terran Grail. I'll ask everybody in chat about this, but I can't imagine. I don't know what else you'd think of it. It's like if you're a new viewer, Terran Grail are objects of power, basically that do things.
Stuff.
They do things.
Yeah.
So in this case, I would imagine, Amy, are you on board with this? Like, obviously, Swan has her own Terran Grail that kind of connects this thing.
Yeah, and if people need a more maybe known comparison, I think there's a device or a painting or something like that in a different magical world that has wizards and Hogwarts that people can travel, at least communicate between. But this is, and I was, when you go back and rewatch it and you see Moraine looking at that painting at first, and you're like, well, maybe she just really missed that. She's been away from the tower for a while. She hasn't seen that painting, and it was, and then you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's why you were really.
She was thinking of something else, with that painting, or someone else rather.
Yeah, okay. It's got to be
okay. And I'm not gonna. And I see chat is gonna. This is gonna be we'll get into a deeper discussion about this. We'll come back to this one, I promise. We will once we get into book spoilers, we'll kind of dig in there. But I want to move on to this one. This one has to be one of my favorite moments in the whole show. And I don't know why I love this so much, but when Lan and Moraine come into this room and the whole kind of moment with Rand here, I love. Did you like how they presented the healing here, Amy? Did you, with seeing Moraine heal Matt of this infection, I guess is the closest thing you could call it
Yeah, I liked, basically being like, idiots, what are you doing trying to just keep him here, thinking he'll get better. But the way they they represented rather pulling this black substance that calls back to the fog in Jadar Lagoth. I thought was a really strong visual way to communicate that they are, she's extracting an evil. And I also really like that when Rand said thank you, she was like, I would have done it for any of you, but just like, is that what it took for Rand, like for you, Rand, to warm up to her and be like, yeah, she's has her motives, but she's going to help you out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I thought it was, I just loved the visual too. Like it is so real.
Really creepy.
Really creepy. John, did you like the way this presented? Did you like this idea, this infection, and how it was healed, and actually seeing it on screen?
I did. I really did. I mean, you don't really get to. They don't describe things like this, and we won't get into book spoilers, but it's not described this way in the books because it's not really described. Yeah, I guess is the best way to put it. It just kind of, they do this thing and it happens. So to visually showcase it, they had a lot of leeway in what they could do and what they couldn't do, I would assume. And they did a really good job here. It was visually very impressive to see it. And the fact that Barney Harris was able to act that way during it, like I believed he was sick. I believed he was coughing something up. There was not any, the best way to put it is there's no doubt in my mind. Like he was fantastic.
Yeah, I like this comment. Extremis said, was it a healing or an exorcism? I like exorcism. Yes,
both.
Exactly.
I like that it calls back to, it's a different thing pulling that out of Matt, but we've seen Sidene and we've seen Logain, and that the visual, like it looks a lot like when Logain channeled. And so it's a nice, like,
it's an interesting,
just like further.
That's one of those where I'm like,
I need like an evil that looks the same but feels different.
I need like a new viewers only chat here where it's like, tell me what you think. I need like a 500 just new viewers, and I need to be able to poll them. Like that's my brain wants me to poll new viewers.
Do you want to borrow my husband?
Yeah, exactly. Just everybody send in their spouses and friends, please. So this one, Amy, was Swan too tough on Logain? What do you think the audience here said?
Oh, I feel like the audience is going to say, yes, she was too tough.
Oh, no. 87%. No. The audience here of hardcore fan freaks, because who else, let's be honest, is jumping into... Hopefully some of you are new viewers. I'm kind of curious. Let me ask that question. I'd like to know, are you a new fan to the Wheel of Time? How about that? And if you just started reading the books, great. Let's just say like in the last year. How about that? There we go. And that includes the show. So if you're in chat, I'm just kind of curious, are you new to the Wheel of Time? And by the way, I am, like I said, tracking these. Hopefully I haven't missed any questions that have come in. But yeah, that one was really, this one just moved really fast for me. And I know, again, not for everybody, but it was like cold open, fantastic. And can we talk about that, John? Did you like this cold open as much as the other ones?
I super did. I mean, we didn't book spoilers. I saw book spoiler. I guess we don't get to see much of this. I like the fact that they're expanding some of the characters. And Swan was one of those characters I really wanted to see more of, because they always talked about her upbringing and they always talked about certain things, but you never really seen it. But to see her as a child and heal her, well, looking at her father's amputation or where his hand used to be, and he's struggling with the knots and stuff, and having her help him with the power, that just made me happy as a parent. I guess the best way to put it, just filled me with joy to see this. And then at the very end, when he sent her on the way, he's crying, she's crying, you'll be fine. It was emotionally powerful and a really great way to start the episode, in my opinion, at least anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a spoiler per se, because they're showing it in the actual. I don't feel like this is a spoiler for those of you that are new to the books, which is, this is not uncommon for people that can channel, and that they do channel for the first time, and the way they channel is often like something that's a need. And so I like that they tied the need into helping her father, which I thought was like really like sweet. I was like, oh my gosh. I was kind of like, this is so adorable and awesome. What did you think about that, Amy? This kind of cold open with giving us some background on Swan.
I loved it. I love kind of setting up they set up something that is important later about tier, and that's that. But I really appreciated. I know All Nighto was the first piece of music I think that was released for the series, and it's the one that quickly became my favorite. And when the episode like opened with that with Swan, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's right. This was the first introduction to us as far as the sounds were going to be concerned. Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't really thought about that aspect to that beginning, which is they brought us all the way to episode 6, and they were just setting us all up, which I love.
Yeah, I think I only picked up on because I've listened to that on repeat for a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It's been a good writing song to write to, but I think it was beautiful to see young Swan and her father, and
Yeah, I seeing Williams comment here in chat. By the way, it is a live call and talk show. We're not doing calls yet, everybody. We have a lot of time ahead of us. John, unfortunately, has to leave us here in about 10, 15 minutes. So I'm trying to dig out as much from John as I can before he has to go. We will get out of no book spoilers here in the next 5 minutes or so, and then we'll give John a little bit of headway here to be able to talk about some of the the book spoiler-esque things he liked. But I see William's point here in chat. He said, I think the point was to show that wealth and power has no bearing inside the tower. Swan is a poor fisherman's daughter, and Moraine is the lady. Moraine kneels and kisses the floor. Yeah. The type of combinations, the politics here, who becomes friends with whom. If you think about the tower itself, it brings such diverse people, and they end up, in this case, in cahoots a bit, right? I think you hear Swan tell her, you tell Moraine that if anyone knows what they were doing, they'll be stilled, right? They're trying to raise, you've just seen gentling, you've seen what just happened to Logain, right? And now stilling for new viewers is the female version of that same thing. And here Swan is saying, we could be stilled if anyone knew about this. And so it's setting up some stakes, which I really love that they're doing, which is this is not it's not just the Amyrlin can do whatever she wants. So they also did show that she's one of the most powerful people, but if anyone found out about this, she's not totally safe too.
Exempt,
yeah, she's not exempt from what could happen. So almost 800 of you voted. Are you a new fan to the Wheel of Time in this last year? Look at that, 12% of you here. So
hey, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Hopefully you are. I hope you're enjoying the show. I hope you're enjoying, and then I hope if you just got into the books, you're enjoying them too. And yeah, we'll like I said, no book spoilers. That's been our gig here for the next couple minutes. So until then, for those of you that have not read the books, you're pretty safe. You're pretty safe here. Let me end this poll. Thank you very much for that one. As far as I was going to ask a question, but that would kind of be a spoiler. So we'll leave that question alone. Okay, so why don't we actually kind of make our way towards the book spoilers? But let's first, John, was there something else here from a non-book spoiler perspective that you want to kind of tackle in this? Yeah, go for it.
Yes. So one of the scenes that I really liked in this episode was when Nynaeve and Egwene met Swan for the first time. And Swan starts to say, you're the most powerful channeler we've seen in 1,000 years. And Nynaeve's standing there stone-faced, and Egwene's all pleased with herself, and she's kind of like, oh, they're talking about me, this is great. And then she says Nynaeve, she's like, who? And to me, that's Egwene, at least in the first bit as her character, that is 100% her, and I got such a kick out of that.
Yes.
I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, no, this scene, I think I actually theorized that I thought we might see a book scene related to this, and I won't say what it is, but I was like, oh man, that would be so good. I was actually on the edge of my seat wanting that book thing to happen. I was like, come on, do it, Rafe and team. And they didn't give me that satisfaction. So I was a little bit bummed, but it was a great scene. There's a funny moment where Egwene's just like, tell me what we need to do. She's so in. Amy, do you like how, so far from a characterization standpoint, this moment with the Amyrlin, did this hit you these are the characters? Have you bought into these characters?
100% from Nynaeve telling the Amyrlin to please stop blowing smoke up our. Do we curse on the show? I forget.
You're allowed to. You can get one F word, and generally it's we're a PG-13 kind of show, a light R every once in a while. So you should be okay.
Then Nynaeve telling her not to stop blowing smoke up their ass was, I'm like, well, this is perfect Nynaeve. She's just good. Why are we here? You do not impress me.
Yeah.
And you do have that Egwene. I love her, but she is I'm the star pupil. What? I'm here. I'm ready. What do you need?
She's like, I'm so good. Look at me. I will help you.
I was like, is Madeline? How about this? Is Madeline getting the star pupil right? Pupil. That's Pupil, right? Am I?
Pupil. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, that's just a word I don't spell very often. So.
Well, looks weird.
Yeah. Is she getting it right? Let me put this personality right. Okay. I definitely has that kind of jump right in feel. Egwene does that really well, and I think Madeline's done a great job in bringing that out. For you both, before we jump into book spoilers here, Amy, standout performance from episode 6 for you.
Sophie Okonedo. Yeah, I was like, do I think about this? I'm like, there were so many good ones, but she's just fabulous.
Yeah, John.
You don't have to ask me. It's the same.
Sophie.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. This is. I don't know if you noticed this. I almost want to say Rosamund here, but Sophie is just amazing. Rosamund, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they did it on purpose. Doesn't it feel like she's kind of like glowing a little bit more in the Tar Valon? Like in this episode, she's like happy.
Yeah, she's home.
Yes.
She feels like she's in her own. Like she was sitting there having tea, and then she was like, Lan comes to her. And she's like, basically, he's like, yeah, he's almost like she just feels like she dominates, not only like the White Tower in her presence, but Tar Valon. And and it was just like one of those where you're like where Megan was talking to her, and she's like, yeah, so apparently someone sunk the Terran Ferry, whatever, like sunk and then we were like, oh really? And yeah, there's like Trollocs here, and we've sent you money for this thing, and you can just see her kind of like, kind of going like, oh well, thanks. Like this whole organization's like supporting the mission of this one person.
So, and she's like, I deserve it. It's fine.
But she wasn't going to stop. I loved it. Yeah.
No.
Okay, let me see here. Almost 600 people have voted. Is Madeline getting the star pupil personality right? What do you think, Amy? What do you think people in chat are saying?
They better say yes.
Well, you were right. 96% of them, almost 600 people voted. That was a short poll. Everybody's like, wait, I didn't get a chance to. That was like 2 minutes and it was over. I love Sophie Okonedo. Let's ask everybody his kind of best performance in episode 6. In episode 6. So let me put Sophie. Who else would you put out there?
Rosamund Pike for sure.
Rosamund. Who else would you throw in here?
Alvaro. He was only there for a short period, but he did really good. He was amazing.
And I'll give other. If someone's like, you didn't put my person in there, fine. Best performance episode 6. Yeah, I think that's
Basil Gill.
Kate Fleetwood did great too.
Kate. She does a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Okay. John, you only have a couple minutes left. We're going to switch here, everybody. If you are a new viewer but haven't read the books and you don't want anything in the books to be spoiled, this was kind of your introduction. So hopefully you enjoyed this moment. Our
Gonna ruin it for you.
Yeah, because we're about to ruin a lot of stuff in the books for you. Like, because there's a lot to call out here. There's stuff I don't understand. Like, I don't even know if I have a good answer for some of this stuff. So here we go. We're going to move on, everybody. Full book spoilers. Give everybody in chat just a minute to leave here. But John, you have like 5 minutes left, man. What's your full book spoiler topic you want to tackle?
Oh, man. There's so much to talk about. I would say I would really like to talk about the differences between this pushing them towards the eye and what they said is happening at the eye versus the book.
Yes. We totally have to talk about the eye. Okay, here we go. Let's get into it. Everyone should have left by now. What did you hear? Because honestly, now I have to go back and watch this episode a couple times. I have to take notes on it.
So I heard a couple of things that don't jive with what's in the books, of course. And I don't know if they're intentional changes or if they are the characters in the show misunderstanding things because they don't know everything they're supposed to know.
Right.
And the first one is that the Dark One is being held at the eye and he's weak and he's just starting to touch the world again and they need to go there to fight him. And this is from Sophie, who is, I believe, a lot of people were saying on Twitter stuff, I can't believe she's a dreamer now. And no, I don't think she's a dreamer. I'm pretty sure she's going into her dreams and going, send them to the eye. I want help.
Yeah,
that's my guess out of all that. I don't believe that they've turned Sophie into a dreamer or Swan into a dreamer for the show. I think personally, Ishi's doing what he's doing to everyone else in the show and entering her dreams and poking at her and saying, "This is what I need to have happen to give myself a chance to be out in the world again."
Do you think it's direct connection, or do you think it's more of kind of in the books, like Ishamael? For those of you who don't know, what is a dreamer? Sorry, I can't remember. I hope I haven't ruined anything. I was like, wait, Amy, you've read the book.
Full book spoilers.
I know. I don't know. I got nervous. I don't understand why I got nervous there. I was like, wait, did I ask Amy? But of course, Amy, you've read. Anyways, I was like, I got kind of freaked out there.
I'll just tell you who dies in the last battle right now.
Ishamael is a dreamer. And
actually, here's the thing, though. I haven't read the last 3 books, but that's okay. I know.
I don't think that
I'm working up to them in my reread.
I don't think that ruins anything.
No.
But Ishamael is a dreamer. And so do you think, John, that what we're seeing here is just the influence of his dreams and like the Dark One on the dreams of everyone in the world? Kind of like, in other words, the Dark One's touching the world? Or do you think actually that Ishamael went and targeted somehow her dreams?
I think he targeted her specifically because you know that he's targeted Diamon's Fielders so far because he's been in their dreams. And again, for his full book spoilers, we all know at this point that the person they're seeing is not the Dark One, it's Ishi. But I think all of this is pushing them towards the eye. Maybe they weren't going to go there because it's not quite enough yet. So if he tells the Emerald, this is what we need to have happen.
Yep. Okay, so
especially over the last few weeks leading up to where they're going towards Tar Valon, to me that makes a lot of sense. That he needs something out of that group for them to be in the eye.
So, Amy, do you like this idea? Where do you stand on this idea of is she a dreamer, for example? Is she just having her dreams being infiltrated? Is this the Dark One's touching of the pattern, and somehow it's transference? And affecting dreams outside of Ishamael's control? Like, do you have, where do you think this might kind of end up for what the show is trying to do?
I do agree with John that I think, it's Ishamael exerting his influence, but also affected by the Dark One too. And maybe he's a little stronger and maybe can target a little more specifically. But if he tries to, show the eye of the world to any of the kids, they're not going to know what it means.
Well,
okay.
We had in the book, we had in the Eye of the World, it's basically the big pool of untainted Saidin. So that's what's there is the male half true source, a bunch of it, like physical, a bunch of it. I don't know if they're going to do the show, obviously, because nobody's seen episode 7 and 8 yet. But we know the Dark One is Sheo Ghul is the weakest part of the patterns where he can be sensed easily. If they keep in that vein, he's not in the eye, but maybe if she wants him to go to the eye, unlock that power so he can use it to break himself free or whatever, because we know that Agenor went in the book series really wanted that power for himself and he just drank it in. So maybe it's something similar to that.
If you remember in the books, that is when you get all of the other Forsaken are freed.
Mm-hmm.
There actually is.
That seal gets broken and that's it.
There is a note.
Bad news.
I believe in his notes, Robert Jordan's notes, he mentioned multiple eyes, if you will, multiple pools of Saidin. I think the idea, I think ultimately I would translate that as how it ended up in the books. I think the idea was that the pool of Saidin in the past, not necessarily what ended up in the books, but would protect all the seals. And so the idea that using the pool of Saidin and then all of the Forsaken are basically like freed. That would be, I would like that as an ending rather than what happened in the Eye of the World. I mean, not to disparage the books because I love the books, but the ending of the Eye of the World was a little confusing, at least the first few times I read it. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Okay, so almost 800 of you voted on this. Best performance, Amy. I like leading this. I like this addition of people not watching the polls because I had to ask you. Who do you think they said the best performance was this episode? You had Sophie. Rosamund won. Rosamund, just barely.
Excellent too.
Rosamund won here, barely 42%. Sophie pulled 41%. So yeah, I thought they both did an excellent job. I want to ask this question, John's theory. John has to leave us here. What or where? We'll say, where did Swan get this information? Is that decent? We'll say Dark One's influence. Guys, we're going to split these up. Ishamael is going to be separate from Dark One's influence. She's a dreamer. How about that? Do we want to have? Is there a fourth option here that you can think of?
Gowan. Just use Gowan told her.
Not really.
Maybe no, because she couldn't have lied about having a dream.
No.
So.
No, she said she had a dream. She specifically did so.
Okay, we're just going to say, where did Swan get this information? Dark One's influence. Ishamael, she's a dreamer. That seems like a reasonable pool. Somebody's going to be like, you didn't ask this fourth one that is obvious. You don't read the books. Something like that. Okay, John, do we have to let you go, or do you need to leave right now? Okay.
I gotta go. Yes, unfortunately, my wife needs to leave work, so I should go get her.
Totally get it. No, I appreciate you being here. It was awesome having you here. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with before you go?
The only thing is if you're not already subscribed to Matt here on the Dusty Wheel, subscribe to him. Don't just watch his live streams. He's absolutely fantastic. He's the cornerstone of the community. Make sure you support him. Well, give him all of your money so he can do this full time.
No. Do not. Save your money and just keep coming back to the Dusty Wheel. As long as you're in chat and having a great time, I'm having a great time. So
very good. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you.
You too, John.
I presence of greatnthis, Amy. Just saying. That's all.
Oh gosh, no, please, the other way around. Wait till Matt realizes how much of the books I've forgotten. He'll be like, no.
No. It was a fun, John. Yeah, please do go check out What Up. You'll love John over there. He just gets in front of the camera and talks about his love of the books. John, let's be honest. John's read the books like 57 times more than I have. So yes.
Not more. I've read them 57 times. You've read them at least 30.
I think that's not true. I don't know. I haven't counted. So hey, John, thank you very much, man. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Say goodbye, everybody. Say goodbye, everybody. Thanks, John. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, now what we have to do is we have to get into some of the questions that fans have been asking. We're going to open call lines here shortly, everybody. And then it's just Amy and I just chatting this series with you. So let me see what people are starting to answer here. Almost 700 you voted so far. I'll leave this poll up. This one's fun, although maybe I won't. There's a clear winner here. Who do you think the clear winner is here, Amy? We had Dark One's influence, a Ishamael, or she's a dreamer.
I wonder if people think she's a dreamer. Okay. I don't feel that, but I wonder if that's what the poll's winning.
74% are going to Ishamael. So there we go. Like this is it's probably a book reader heavy, and I'm not surprised that that is that's the one they picked. So okay, let me get through everybody. You've all been crazy and like awesome here jumping in. I won't be able to show all of your comments, but let me go back to the top. Let's tackle some of the comments fans have had. Moth, first of all, said Oathrod, Waygate, No Leaf, and Matt, WTF. And Leandrin's male friend, lover, or dark friend handler, keep up the awesome work. So, wow, that was like 7 things we have to talk about tonight. Okay, I think we got to pick one. I know everyone's like, cool, he's going to get to my comment. We got to stop there for a moment. Waygate, everybody. How we feeling? Is everybody, let's have a moment. Amy, are you attached to the idea of the Waygate as it was in the books? How are you feeling about the Waygate as presented in the show? How did this turn out for you?
Generally, I am pretty much largely on board with show differences. I don't love the design of the Waygate. I miss the leaf. I kind of like having that like tangible part of it that is something you physically handle. Yeah. I think it's okay. And we haven't seen inside the ways, but the gate itself, I'm like, yeah, it just kind of looks like a upside down stone arch.
Yeah, it was interesting because I could tell that from they put out some images when they were looking. It seemed like they were going around looking at different locations, and you could see like the influence of some of the sites where they went. Kind of seemed like they influenced the design of this. So I don't know, like one of these where I was like, well, that's not the Waygate, and where's the leaf things? I'm still kind of there with everybody. Like, I want my leaf, back.
Yeah, that's really it. I'm like, just give me a leaf.
But fans did throw this out there, which I thought was cool. So can you see this? You have this moment where I didn't think about it, where she's almost doing like a leaf weave, if you will.
I could see that.
So a leaf weave that they brought into what's being channeled here. So, but the question I have is, okay, but still, where does that leave us? Do you think that we are still that like a Waygate can still be opened with this special leaf, if you will, or do you think that that it's basically you have to channel to get in?
It feels to me like you have to channel, and I don't love that. I don't love it.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask everybody. That's our next poll. Everybody, like, ask us a poll already. So do you like, let's just ask this one. You like waygates in the TV show? We'll start with the waygates, everybody. Love them. I love them. How about I like them? And I do this one. This time I'll actually say meh versus med. Med.
I mean, you could start a new thing with med.
Med, yeah.
You invent words all the time.
So yeah, this one is really interesting. We don't know, right? We don't know exactly what their plans are for waygates here. Like, because you see one methodology doesn't, take away.
I don't think it's going to be universal, right?
Yeah, like that there's another methodology here. Is there a rationale that you have in your mind of why go the route of channeling here? Like if you're writing this scene, that how the function works, why go the route of channeling?
Yeah, I try to think about these things, especially from a practicality point of view, because if it's something they're going to do more than once, like what is the more cost-effective option? What is the more sensible option? I mean, that's VFX versus potentially a practical VFX combo. That would involve moving pieces, maybe if you use the leaf. So maybe it's something as not trivial is not the right word, but something that's like nuts and bolts like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm trying to think through this. I don't know VFX enough to know if like what's less expensive or more expensive.
Right.
It is one of those. I think fans, new viewers, will have seen the Moraine channel. And it's like, oh, okay, channeling,
we know what this is.
Channeling can open something like a portal of some sort. This is a portal into some other place. Channeling can do that. It's not actually not true. That is to say, Moraine doesn't she cut open one of the doors for them to get out of the ways?
Yes.
In the books. So like it is not that is not how they're meant to be used to channel your way in or out of the ways. But it's not also impossible to do that.
Maybe right. Maybe it's just like, this is one less thing we have to explain.
Yeah. Winter's Lady just said they're making Moraine a little too powerful in the show. Do you agree with that? Is Moraine coming across too powerful for you?
I disagree, because what I liked, I quite like Moraine in the books, but the series is very, Moraine is at the center and it's an ensemble cast, but she is like this guide figure, and we get so much more of her that I don't know that part of it is one, we didn't really, we don't visually see the one power in the book. So you kind of just have to imagine like, how much is she using? They do talk a lot, of course, about like, this person's really powerful. This person has less midichlorians, basically. I'm a big Star Wars nerd.
Ooh, you brought in midichlorians. That's fighting words, I'm sure, for some fans in there. But go ahead. Yeah.
But I'm not in the chat.
Exactly right.
No. But so I really have enjoyed seeing her, battle and use the power. And I don't find her personally to be like too much. I think she's kind of, she's not overpowered and I think that was a really long way for me to say, sure. No, I'm good with Moraine's power.
It is interesting. This one's, you can, and I'm going to throw this out because I know I've seen all sorts of different opinions in chat. Whether or not it was just like a frivolous choice, whether or not a purposeful choice, and this goes back to something that they've said, which is we know when we're changing things, we're making a change. So if you think about a change here, I guess it would make sense that this potential, like this is a waygate really close to Tar Valon, right? And so the idea of not having a way to open the door is something that's actually used, right, in the books of like, let's stop this from being used. Let's take away the key, if you will, of this. And so her walking up to this waygate, like there's no key, but there actually is a weave that I've found that can open it too. It's an innovation on that. So I'm going to ask everybody that. So by the way, what do you think people said? Do you like waygates in the TV show? Where do you think? Almost 800 of these wonderful fans.
No.
You think they're no?
I think they're no.
You guessed right. 68% are at no. You did guess the pulse of the fandom in the room. So yeah, this is a topic we have to come back to. You have so many questions tonight. I can tell just how much everyone's excited to talk about this.
I just want to quickly say one reason I want to leap is because I want someone to make a prop replica of it that I can own.
Yeah. Yeah, and Master the Deck said I'm going to wait and see what they say about the ways, and Waygate to determine what changes they've made about it. This really feels like a missing scene. Yeah. Again, yeah, this is one of those cutting room floors. Do you have to explain how they're going to get into the ways? Was there some kind of connection there? Remember, you do see that scene where you have Moraine going with Lan, right? And they talk to Loyal.
Yeah.
And I probably won't be able to find that scene, everybody. I'm going to look for it. But he basically, and then you have that screenshot that they showed us where like it was a map for it. So there could be a scene that they're talking about, like, how are we going to get in, you know?
I wondered about that too.
Yeah. So there definitely could be like,
in the show.
we're only getting so much. So let me ask everybody here, you don't like the way the ways are presented. Do you think there will be other ways to enter and leave the ways? That's other methodologies. How about that, everybody? Well, that's a big word, right? Other methodologies to enter and leave the ways, other than channeling. That's what we're asking here. But I do like this, and I want to come back to this image. It's such a great image. I like the idea that they're selling this as basically a weave that maybe does what we expect, the tinfoil leaves to do. So yeah. Okay, so we could stay on this topic. Let's be honest, like the entire night
for a while.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to. I think this one is so compelling. So let's switch over to everyone. Let's go to Leandrin here. Let's talk Leandrin. That was man. That was a power move there at the end when she was talking to Leandrin as they're going and finding everybody, and she like tells her like it was cool because Leandrin was like, let me tell you the names of all the people that I know are here.
Like, look what I know.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, exactly. And what did you think about that Leandrin scene and what we learned from that?
Yeah, I was looking back at my notes because I really appreciated, like, just because we have seen so much of the politics in this episode, and we've seen Leandrin like really smug when Swan, first kind of not punished Moraine yet, but gave her harsh words in the beginning. So to see Moraine shut her down so quickly, and also to see another facet of like Moraine's eyes and ears, and Leandrin just she doesn't seem like a speechless kind of person so far. So
yeah.
For Moraine's words to have that kind of effect, I was like, oh no. I thought that was a really just like this kick in the shins, that as much as I like Kate's performance and she's making me be more interested in Leandrin than I would care to be, I was like, yeah, you take her down a notch.
Well, they're definitely adding something, right? They're calling out the relationship between these two, right? This is not Leandrin that I remember from the books, if you will. And Brandon actually brings this up, I think, in a recent discussion he had about the show. Brandon Sanderson was saying that he actually, I think he was saying he liked the Leandrin that they've brought to the TV show over the books. I asked everybody this last night. Overwhelmingly, fans liked the new Leandrin over book Leandrin, which again goes to that whole idea of every change. You might not like some changes. You might really like some other changes. And Leandrin is one of them that, again, fans that are showing up here and talking to us, I'm not talking about every fan. That's not the point. Saying that fans here that don't like some things do like that aspect of Leandrin. Who do you think, because Moraine knew that information right away and was just like, I'm going to go. I'm going to use this information. I've been holding on to this one. This is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Theories around this. I want to ask everybody, what do you think this is? This man that she'd be afraid of, but because of her red sisters would do something?
Given that it's Leandrin, Darkfriend seems likely, but Moraine doesn't necessarily know that Darkfriend is a thing, that's a thing. So I say she's got a boyfriend. And something I want to ask really quickly, Matt, to get your thoughts is when her and Moraine talked earlier, Leandrin was very familiar with her. They've had time together, but she like caressed her face. And I'm like, did y'all used to be a thing? And there's that history there too.
They're suggesting, and she brings it up a couple more times this time. She's like, I know you. I know you, but she was talking a much more kind of intimate, not necessarily, I don't mean sexual that way, but very intimate, like awareness, like close friends. And we don't know, right? The caress on the face, that suggested something about much more intimate, perhaps, than just a close friend. So yeah, I think that they are playing with that, which is that Leandrin here, there was a relationship. I'm going to say this, and I don't know that this is what the writers are thinking. I almost would say that Moraine realized who Leandrin was pretty quick, and was kind of like, nope, I'm not going to have this in my life, but not quick enough, right? Probably younger, as we have all been there, right? Maybe making a choice where you're like, no, how did I stay that long with that person? That was bad.
Yeah.
So that's what I get when I see these two people, is Leandrin a bit jaded still about this, Moraine moving on, but they both know how to push each other's buttons, and like,
yeah, exactly.
And they're both holding information over each other. That's how I took it. So,
and I think they both know each one is holding information, and it's just this whole complicated. Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love that about this episode. The politics here, I thought were done fantastically.
Very intricate, and I was very not surprised, just very happy with how they conveyed that. Just so many layers are happening, and everyone truly does have their own game.
Well, I got to ask everybody here. So this one's up another for about 5 minutes. 700 of you have voted on this. Do you think there will be other methodologies to enter and leave the ways? What do you think? Before we poll everybody about Leandrin, this relationship, who this might be, how do you think the fans thought that was there hope among fandom, or they're like, no, I don't like the ways, and there's no hope?
I think yes, that there are other ways.
Okay, yeah, just almost 70% of fans think there will be some other ways. Sorry, I know people are like pinging me, sending me notes here. Everybody. I'm sure everyone's like,
a lot. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. This is like a couple of hours of just fun conversation that we're going through. I'm going to do this. Don't expect you're going to jump in really quick, everybody. But this is a live call and talk show. If you want to get on the phone and talk to Amy and I about this, like you have a question or theory, you can do that. I'm going to cover some of the comments that have already been in. People are going to be like, don't let people that called in get ahead of my comments. I've already added something. So we'll try to drop those. But I before we move on, I want to ask this. We gotta poll theories on this. You said dark friend, so you think that she might be hiding a dark friend. Is that the idea? So who is the man in
a dark friend who is also a friend
in Leandrin's life that Moraine threatens to reveal? How about that? I like it. And we're gonna say dark friend. Okay. How about I the one that came to mind immediately, because she said your sisters would, like, basically, I can't remember the exact words, but like red sisters. I was like, maybe she's hiding a male channeler. Maybe male channeler family member kind of deal. Okay, so those are two options. I can't see any other options that you might be throwing into chat right now, everybody. So those are the only two options I can see. So if you happen to be like, no, there's this third option. I'm trying to think. Anything else coming to mind, Amy, before we ask everybody this one? Who is the man in Leandrin's life that Moraine threatens to reveal?
I mean, unless it's just like a boyfriend, like a in that sense. But I'm like, would that be enough to tick off her red sisters? I mean, maybe he's a man. So
yeah, someone just said son. So I'll say,
oh yeah, that would do it.
Boyfriend, son. How about that? There we go. I think those are good options here. Who is the man in Leandrin's life? Let's ask everybody that question before we move on from this. And okay, guys, you're so wonderful for being here tonight, and hope you're having fun. Trying to keep everyone fed out there in chat. If you are actually out there on Twitter or Facebook or Twitch, and I'm not seeing your comments, apologize. I'll try to get back to them later. But do come over here with us on YouTube. That's the best place where you can jump in, answer some of these polls, give us a call. I mean, obviously, you don't have to be here on YouTube to give us a call, but let me jump back to some of the comments that were sent in to us. Here we go. But yes, thank you very much, Moth. You brought up a ton of topics. Beth Weston said, what up? John isn't here. I feel bad. What up? Love your content. This episode. I think this is one of these episodes that require multiple rewatches to fully appreciate. How are you feeling about that? Thank you, Beth, very much for that comment. Is this one that you were excited to kind of see again? You said you saw a screener. Are you driven right now to go rewatch this episode?
Yeah, I have watched my screener 3 times. And I never rewatch screeners because they're watermarked, there aren't captions, they're on my laptop. But one was the first time, then I watched it for research, and then I'm like, no, I just need to see it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've learned, like, I had one layer of notes the first time that I have been added different notes on in a different color each time. So,
I like that you color coded the notes. That's awesome.
yeah, and now I can't read them. So well done me.
Nice.
But
that's classic. But that means you loved the episode that much, which is good.
Yeah.
I want to ask everybody that question here, to Beth's question. But this is a good theory poll here. Who is the man in Leandrin's life that Moraine threatens to reveal? What do you think the answer is that our fans are giving? Dark friend, male channeler, family member, or boyfriend, son?
I'm going to say boyfriend or son.
They did not. I was actually surprised by this. They think that somehow, she's hiding the dark friend. I don't know if people understood that, like she's just hiding a friend. That was like a dark friend. I shouldn't have put a slash there. That poll kind of confuses me. It was a bad poll, everybody, because I'm like, do you really think that Leandrin's hiding a dark friend and Moraine's allowing that dark friend to exist? I don't know. That'd be a really interesting choice, everybody. I feel like.
I'm like, what would that be? That's a tangent. But I'm like,
Yeah. That one's an interesting one, which is, I can't imagine that they spent time on that one if it's not going to come back to play in the actual story.
Right. They mentioned it like that. Yeah. I feel like
they're setting that one up. This is going to come back. This is going to come back into it. Now, I did see this comment. Pat and Fane. Did somebody see Pat and Fane out there? I never saw Pat and Fane in this episode. So yeah, I saw somebody say that they saw Pat and Fane at like I want to say they saw them at the 20-minute, 15 seconds. But for those of you out there, so if you've seen Fane and you want to like cite an actual spot in the show, we can like show that on screen here. But this is. And I'll show everybody, this is the 20-minute 15 mark. You see Matt, it looks like Matt and Rand maybe right there in the middle 100%. Of the photo. But I don't see a Fane. I don't have a Fane sighting here, so I didn't get that. If you're wondering why we're looking for Fane, it's because Fane showed up a couple times last episode. So.
Shout out to the folks who noticed that, because that was really exciting for me. And then I pulled it up and I'm like, my husband, I'm like, come in. Do you remember this guy? Look, he's here. Why?
Ooh. Oh, wow. People brought this up. Judgmental bromophobe said, Pat and Fane is a good choice for the man Leandrin meets.
Oh, hey.
I know. Look at that theory. Do you agree with the theory that Leandrin met with Pat and Fane? And doesn't have to necessarily be here, but do you think that Leandrin has met with Pat and Fane? That's while they were in. I like that. I like that a lot. William K., and we'll go to our first call here. William K., thank you very much, said, I love this episode. Didn't like the way the Waygates opened with channeling. Anyone here from the AOL Watt Freeform RP from the mid-late 90s? Shout out to anyone from the I'm trying to think if I ever was there. I was there in the late 90s, but I don't remember that one. So yeah, as William pointed out, a lot of fans did not like the opening. Book fans did not like. I really am interested in seeing what non-book fans thought, of that moment.
Yeah, they might be like, they don't know there's another way.
Yeah. And then Matt Dagger said Moraine's treatment of me was a tad harsh. Oh. Sorry. I was like, I don't understand me. Seriously, that exile scene was emotional for me. Yes, you're right, Matt Dagger. Moraine's treatment of you was a little bit harsh, but understandable.
Maybe you'll find someone else. It'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. That exile scene was emotional. Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of curious, like how emotional that was for our fans. So I'm going to ask everybody that. Like I said, everybody, I'm tracking your comments here. We'll get them in. We'll get somebody to call. But let me go look at this poll that we did. Almost 600 voted. Do you agree with the theory that Leandrin met with Pat and Fane? So far, before I tell you, what do you think, Amy?
I think people might say no.
Okay. 58% are saying yes right now. I'm going to leave that one up a little longer. Let's bring our first caller into the show here. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
This is John.
John, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
So what did you think? Okay, we're 6 episodes in, man. What have you thought? Is this one of your favorites, least favorite episodes? Where are you at?
I think this is my second favorite episode.
Okay.
I still really like 4 above the rest. But this one took my second favorite spot from number 5. So
Okay. So you're saying second favorite? There's 6 episodes. That's pretty good. What's the kind of moment in this episode that stuck out to you the most?
I think it was that time, the moments between Leandrin and Moraine that was just like wow, because that's so much foreshadowing from so many books going on in there with the power politics and everything else that could possibly be going on with the weird guy that she's meeting.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that one was just that was the moment that made me sit up and go, wait, what are they doing there?
Okay, so I want to ask you. You probably heard some of the discussion we were having. For you, what do you think that is? What's your favorite theory so far on that? Do you like the idea that it's some kind of dark friend situation? Do you think it's a male channeler? Do you think it's like a family member that the Reds wouldn't like to know? I mean, it's weird.
I'm really going with. I'm wondering if it's the guy from the cold open in episode 1.
Okay.
That she didn't actually gentle, which maybe you can tie that to a time. Maybe they even turn into the dark. They follow that line of thought.
Okay. I'm totally digging your. Oh yeah, Amy. Yeah, we're going this
a
right.
lot.
Yeah. Okay, so I got to end this poll because that was ridiculous. You just sent me all sorts of 7 places. Okay, do you agree with the theory that Leandrin met with Pat and Fane? Almost 650 you voted this. 50 it stayed the same. 58-42. So, okay. So where I went with your idea was like setting up her own dragon. Like that's kind of where I was going. Like I
could totally see that.
So a dragon setup which would be so elaborate that I think it's a loony theory, but I love it. It's like
it works though.
But
right. I mean,
yeah.
You're going into like book 5, 6, 7, 8. Like it's crazy, but I don't know.
So, but you said something else, Amy. Yeah, where did you take this theory that's being proposed?
As soon as he said it, I was like, that the cold open to the series. I was like, do we see more of this guy? So I would just be pleased for him to come back in some way, shape, or form. So, John, when you said that, I was like, that would actually be very satisfying for me and make sense.
Yeah. So interesting. I do like the idea though, if they do stay with the dark friend angle, that they could like imagine you've had enough dark friend red sisters out there, like collecting male channels, and then you can like turn potentially.
That you could and control.
Yeah. So okay, yeah.
Oh, John, wow.
So Ciro in chat said you guys forgot about Leandrin meeting with the Shanchan. No, so you could even say that maybe was she feeding the Shanchan male channelers? I don't know if that would make any sense. I just had to throw it out there, like
right
to potentially try to control. Okay, so
we should at least curry favor with them.
Before we let you go, we have to ask this theory. If John, it was John, right? Am I misremembering your name? Okay. If John is right, I was like, shoot. If John is right that Leandrin didn't, gentle the male channeler, which outcome do you like most? That's kind of complicated, but whatever. So we're going to say false dragon setup. I love that. That's fun. Then we're going to go like, Amy, you brought up one. I can't remember. It was like, I think it was the false dragon we just talked about. Was there one there was like turning them to the dark one, we'll say? And then the other option is like,
because I'm so excited about this series.
Handing them over to the Shanchan. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good
I don't know.
option.
It's kind of, John, was there one more you want us to add before we send this poll out and let you go?
I mean, my mind literally jumped to Mazrim Tame, but it's sort of covered in a couple of those. So
yeah,
I don't know
setup,
that it needs to be a separate.
Okay, yeah, but no, turning them to the dark one, that's kind of, it kind of covers it here, but I don't want to necessarily, we can say the false dragon setup is, maybe we'll leave that. I love the original theory, though, that this is like the new Mazrim Tame. How about that?
Right.
We'll say new Mazrim Tame, Dark Lord, Dreadlords for the dark one. How about that? Okay. False dragon setup, giving them the Shan-Chan. This is elaborate and it's fun. So hopefully everyone didn't just leave. This is a really.
This is what I have missed for the last 20 years. So this is my favorite part of the show is that we get to do theories like this again.
Oh my gosh, this is so fantastic. Hopefully, if you've left because you don't want to theorize, that's going to be a lot of the evening here, everybody. So I'm kind of curious what everyone's going to vote here. Hey, John, thank you very much for calling in, man. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts. What a fun idea that they gave us a cold open. Because I'll be honest, episode 1 cold open still doesn't hit for me.
Yeah,
Still
same.
doesn't. But
yeah, and it doesn't have a place really.
If something comes back in season 2, and I'll be like, okay, that was good. The payoff was worth it. But hey, John, have a good one, man. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
You as well. Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love it. Love it. John's bringing the theories. That was a good one.
That was
out
of left field, and it's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wow, there's so much here, everybody. You all are crazy. Observer, thank you very much for your tip. Anas said there was a duplicate in Swan's room and office in the background.
Oh, good catch.
Oh, am I an idiot?
I want to keep an eye out.
Am I an idiot? I feel like an idiot now. Did I really?
I didn't see it.
Did I really not look in her room? Oh, I'm dumb. I'm dumb.
Excited about them smooching and didn't really think
it's right there. It's right there, everybody. It's right there at the top. It's actually like opened.
Wow. It's very clear now that.
Yeah.
Yep.
There it is. You're right. Well pointed
out.
You noticed it. Well done. For those of you that are waiting to get your calls in, 4 of you have been waiting 8 minutes. I promise we'll bring you in here shortly. Darius, thank you very much for tip. Said, what do you think? Who do you think Leandrin's man at the docks is? Hopefully this satisfied your question. Is Moraine shut her up quick with that comment? Lover or something else that is book spoilery? Yeah, hopefully we went into depth there, Darius. I love it. Tyler Kirby, thank you very much for the tip. Then Glenn Peterson said, Rand being sat down by Land, favorite moment, healing Matt in season 1, episode 6, hands down too soon and my least favorite moment. Hands down too soon and my least favorite moment in the season. The healing was the least favorite moment. Okay.
Oh, because it happened already.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Fair.
Yeah, interesting that's the least favorite. I'm kind of curious, Glenn. I'll have to ping you later about that one. I'm really curious. One of my favorite moments. So it's something I loved getting to see because, like John pointed out, it's not something you see in the eye of the world. You kind of get this yes, he's been detached.
We addressed that.
Yeah, but that is what's interesting is that one comes almost right from the books. As in, I thought it happened. Doesn't it happen at the inn in Camelin? Am I totally misremembering that? I thought that she comes up into the room and freaks out. Am I misremembering? Now I'm maybe I'm making...
the beginning of the Great Hunt or in the Eye of the World?
Well, no, there is one separation from the dagger, right? Moraine...
Oh, that's right. That one is in the Eye of... Yes.
So,
thank you.
So anyways, yeah, I actually really liked it. Maybe I'm now I have to ask everybody. Okay. So of the theory we just did, over 500 you voted on this one. If John's right, Leander and Gentle, the male channeler, which outcome do you like most? Interesting. So I'll just answer this one. False Dragon setup won that one. Dreadlords for the Dark one was second. Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
False Dragons would be very fascinating.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great. So let's bring our next caller into the show. Hopefully, you're having a good time, Amy. Is this what you thought it was going to be? We're just
yes, no, it's great. I got real nervous. I'm like, oh, my memory past book 4, real shaky. But it's going well so far.
Love it. Here we go. Let's bring our next caller into the show. If they get in here. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hi, this is Kevin or Brick Ninja.
Brick Ninja, how you doing, man? Good to hear your voice.
Doing well.
Okay, how are you feeling? You got episode 6 down. Well, how did this one land for you?
Decent.
Okay.
I'd say probably at this point it's kind of in the middle for me, probably around number 3. But I've generally enjoyed the episodes better when I've rewatched them, and I haven't had a chance to rewatch this one yet, so I'll definitely give it another go.
Yeah, what was it that
Probably
maybe
tomorrow.
fell flat for you on this one? Where did you? Is it because you thought they were going to give different information? Didn't get as far into the plot. Just didn't like the scenes you saw, characterization. Yeah, kind of maybe lay out kind of what's kind of fell flat.
I mean, I think part of it was I think part of it's like I went to see more of Loyal, and he's been awesome, but he's also been fairly brief. But there was a lot of me that just kind of felt a little with what I'm assuming is Barney Harris's exit.
Sure. Yeah.
That's fair.
I actually, you didn't like this as an exit episode. Okay. Is it because you wanted more from Barney? I mean, knowing that obviously Barney is not in season 2.
I mean, I guess it was kind of that there was rumors that he was only in 6 episodes. There was rumors that he was in all 8.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know for sure, but this seems pretty like 95% sure he's not going to be in the next 2. And I've loved watching him as Matt.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
He's a great Matt.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Maybe let's ask that. We have to pull that. Like, do you appreciate Barney Harris? Do you appreciate the performance?
He's captured that like devil may care-ness of Matt so well, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean,
or like, I know the devil cares, and I don't care that he cares.
I mean, I've loved all of the cast members, but Barney has been one of the, I don't know, they all stand out in their own ways, but Barney has definitely been one that's been like, yes, you were awesome in this role.
Yeah. Yeah. And
just the way he razzes Rand, I'm like, yep, you're Matt.
What's interesting is I just think I threw up a screenshot up of Rand holding, Matt down as basically Moraine basically takes what I would assume here Mashadar, or the infection, out of him and puts it into the dagger, but then also kind of gives us the heads up that she doesn't think that that's over also, or she wouldn't be surprised like him getting the dagger would be a bad thing again. Definitely, and definitely having him not go through the Waygate was a shock. I saw that like reverberate across fandom. Like when I could tell like right at the end of the episode. Did that bother you? Him not like, were you just hopeful he was going to go with them because you were hoping that maybe that he was going to be part of those episodes in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to have seen him go with them because I want to see Barney play Matt for 2 more episodes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Story-wise, I don't think it's critical, other than I feel like they've really kind of kneecapped the possibility of him being the Dragon Reborn for book readers.
Oh yes. Oh, that's a good point. That like, I mean,
if he just doesn't show up the next episode.
Yeah, it is interesting. Kind of like now I want to know what our new viewers are actually, that haven't read the books are thinking. Like, does that mean he's counted out or not? But yes, I see what you're saying. That does suggest to all of us book readers are like, yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, if you were hoping it was going to be Barney, I don't think that's your hope is in vain here. So, yeah, Brick Ninja. Hey, thank you very much for calling in. Was there a highlight for you? I know this one fell flat for you. Which one? What stuck out to you?
No, I mean, it wasn't flat. It was just kind of in the middle.
Okay.
I'd say.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, highlights. Let's go back to Loyal again. No, the healing of Matt. I wasn't too surprised that it was at least alluded to being a more complete healing. But really the interaction between Lan and Rand there was great.
Yeah.
And I also loved when Moraine meets up with Egwene and Perrin, and she says the most Aes Sedai statement ever, where she says that she has people watching the gates and she'll know if Rand and Matt enter, but she believes but she's on good authority that they are well.
Yeah.
When we've already seen her talk with them, but it's like,
yep.
Kind of weird why she didn't make a a more direct statement or answer to that, but
Yeah.
it also is so her.
Yeah. That's very, I think she does service to the idea of Moraine for sure. Hey, Brick Nedge, I appreciate you calling in, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts here, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah, we'll talk to
Bye,
you.
Kevin.
Yeah, bye. Oh, it looks like we have a long distance caller, so let's bring them in. There's a lot here. So 3 minutes ago, I asked this poll, do you appreciate the performance of Barney Harris? 97%. That seems to be almost be universal whenever I ask this question. I saw some people in chat like, nah, I don't really like it, which makes sense. There's always going to be something that doesn't hit with everybody, right? But yeah, with over 6 million voting on that, 97% really like. I think Matt's one of the strongest performances, if not the strongest. And again, it might be because I just love the character of Matt, and I just love what he's doing with him. You know,
for sure.
that helps, right? I think Nynaeve's killing it too. So, to my favorite. But let's bring this long distance caller in. Then we're going to read through some more comments. I want to ask you, Amy, kind of. Amy's done, and if you don't know this, Amy did the Comic-Con interview with the cast, and I want to ask you about how that went, and just ask you about that experience so far of interviewing them and what you've kind of taken away from those experiences. And everybody will keep on, like I said, taking calls, doing this thing. We're having fun here. Okay, so let me bring our long distance caller into the show. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hey Matt, Jason here, or Zeus otherwise, but just call me Jay. It's easy enough.
Jay, thank you very much for calling in, man. So appreciate you. It's late, I think, probably where you're at. What time is it?
It's just past up 3.
It's early in the morning for you.
Stars.
Well, I'm glad I could bring you in here. Sorry for making you wait too long. So
thank you very much.
We got 6 episodes, Jay. What are your thoughts about episode 6? How did it land for you?
Okay, I have to say, I mean, I still think 4 was my favorite as a book reader, but I think 6 is definitely my second, and then I guess 5, and then 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
But I must admit, they're kind of all blurring at the moment. They're getting so good, and it's very difficult to actually pick a favorite at the moment for different reasons.
Is there something that stuck out to you in this one, like either from a theory or just perspective, or just something you really liked? Or something you want to point out to the audience?
Obviously, I didn't like the fact that the Waygate needed channeling, but I loved the trefoil symbol that came up when she did it. I did love the interaction between Swan and Nynaeve, and obviously Gwen in the study in the chambers, I guess. I thought that it was fantastic the way Suan's just like, hey, just shut up and listen to me eventually. And I also kind of picked up the fact that Gwen was also, hey, you know what, I'm going to chip in here and I'm going to tell you to also, I want to listen and understand what she's trying to say. So I thought that was also a great dynamic. What else? Oh, I also loved, I know Moraine kind of didn't quite tell the truth when she said to Egwene that, yes, I know where Rand and Matt are, but I kind of felt like she was doing it just basically to keep everyone slightly separated so she could control the narrative of where they are and keep them safe from people in the tower, basically. That was my theory around that.
Yeah. Bending, as much as she can, according to the oaths, and keeping herself in control of the narrative is a very Moraine thing to do, for sure. So,
for sure.
that's a good call out. I'm going to show the screen. If you weren't here before, the trefoil leaf kind of look of the channeling. I'm throwing that out to the viewers right now so they can see that. Yeah, it is a cool little nod. I'm hoping it's more than a nod. I'm really sincerely hoping that the whole concept isn't only channeling. That, like, I don't see why that change wouldn't make much sense to me. I know people are saying like, yeah, changes don't make sense. I know that's like
exactly. I mean,
no changes make sense.
Unless they make like someone like Ilana, or I think someone mentioned in the chat, maybe Ilana ends up taking Perrin to the 2 Rivers, or something along those lines, and you end up taking someone with you can channel.
Yeah.
Obviously at some point later, I know, in Great Times, Rand's channeling, they're all traveling with Varen, so, she could have been responsible for their attempts. But yeah, it just felt a bit weird that you need a channeler.
By the way, I want to ask you this question, Jay. Do you think we had that moment? Jeremy just pointed this out in chat. and I want to get both of your opinions on this. So Aes Sedai can't sense the one power in each other. Is that what I got from the episode? Not complaining, just curious why the change. So that was an interesting one. Like Moraine says, I can't remember the exact words, but she said, I thought she's like, the words are going to matter here. And so I took it like,
I didn't know she could channel.
That is, I must admit, that is something, I definitely think that is a very strange concept, because obviously, in the books, they can sense each other, they can sense when someone's around who can channel, they can also sense the strength of them. So I definitely, it's funny the fact that she mentioned that, but technically speaking, that she hasn't actually seen Nynaeve channel to that point. So she's kind of saying, I guess you could say she's very skirting around the concept.
Yeah, so can women sense channeling ability in other women who have the spark but haven't channeled?
Because I sensed that she did pick it up with Egwene. I thought that was what their whole little conversation, little late night chat was about.
Agreed.
Right? That was the Egwene. So it almost suggests like she's, that one's messy for me. Like I'm trying to kind of put those two things together, because like you said, she's like, no, you're definitely someone who can touch the source. But
what is the Aes Sedai spin on it, the way she said it? Like, is there a wiggle space, right?
It feels messy right now. I need to think about that, because Jeremiah, good question. Jay, thank you very much for calling him in. I appreciate you staying up so late and watching this. It's awesome to have you on the show.
Pleasure. Obviously, it's just nice to be part of the live chat and in the polls and everything. So thank you very much. Great show.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Hey.
Cheers. Bye.
I feel like I haven't done a poll in long enough, so we need a poll here. I don't know what to ask on that one about them. By the way, Blue Boil, you said this, and I have to, if I can get this on screen, I'll post it for everybody, because it's a funny comment, and we should go there. I feel like it's fine. We're about an hour and a half in. It's time to address this comment. I knew it was coming.
I feel like I know what this is going to be.
You do? Yeah. So, look, I'm trying to see if I get the comment. I don't know if I can get it up here on the screen. Oh, yeah, there we go. Here's the comment, and then I'll explain. So Blue Boil said, "Hey, Matt, I seem to have missed that short person by Loyal's horse." Okay. Is that what you thought it was going to be, Amy?
No.
Okay. Now I need to know, what did you think it was going to be?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. I was going to be really impressed, by the way, if you had any concept of what that was. So now I got to see. So for those of you that are watching and you're like, I have no idea what that could possibly mean.
Yeah.
By the way, this is the power of search. I just looked this up on Twitter. You're welcome, everybody. So here's the image. This one back in the day when Wheel of Time and Amazon Prime wasn't giving us information, everybody, okay? So we were doing some deep investigative work, and this is my handiwork of zooming in on this image. And it looked to me like there was somebody standing next to who we divined to be Loyal here. And I knew fans were going to come at me on this one. Because, maybe it doesn't appear. I can admit it doesn't appear. Amy, I don't know. Amy, do you think it looked like there might be a person here? Or are you with a group of people that you think when you saw this, you're like, there's not a person standing there?
I respect you, Matt, but I don't see a person there.
Thank you. Okay, that's fine. You didn't have to. That's okay. It's okay. But yes, I thought there might be a person. Everybody, I took a stab on this one, and it was a gray man, and some of you couldn't see him, and I get it. I get that you can't see the gray man here, but it's clearly a gray man, and that's my latest theory. I'm sticking to it. There's a gray man that's following them into the ways. No one sees him. Let me ask how many of you believe me here. Do you think there is a gray man standing next to Loyal? That's our next poll, everybody. Loyal, who follows them. I'm adding this into the ways. Like, it needs to be elaborate. So, yeah. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to like the people that choose yes more than I don't, appreciate the people that didn't choose it, but I might like you more. Okay, there's your question, everybody. I wonder if I can get some yeses. I don't think I'm going to. Okay, there's so many comments here, but I want to go to you, Amy. Something we have, is there anything that kind of stands out to you that, by the way, while you're answering this poll, everyone stare at this image. That's right. You see the gray man. You know you see the gray man. You see him. Amy, anything else in your notes, in your varied notes of multicolor?
That's what I'm consulting.
Yeah, so what haven't we covered here that you thought was kind of interesting?
Not enough Leanne.
Oh, yes.
Is that, and I apologize, I don't remember off the top of my head if that's how you pronounce her name, but that's why I pronounced it.
Leanna,
Leanna,
Leanna, whatever. You know, we all pronounce these things wrong. By the way, I'm seeing some hurtful comments in chat. I'm seeing some hurtful comments about this. You know, like Deadsy, apparently the Innkeeper can channel because he's seeing people who aren't there. That's really hurtful. And then Haplo said, I think you're going off the deep end. Matt? No, yeah, I've already gone off the deep end. So I don't know what you're trying to prove with that kind of statement there.
Look how many live shows this man does a week. He has gone off the deep end.
Okay, do you think there's a gray man standing next to Loyal? Thank you for humoring me on this ridiculous poll. And by the way, what I think is awesome about this poll, and I think people just did this to be nice to me, 32% said yes.
Oh, you have some friends.
No, they were so nice to me. Wasn't that kind of them? It's the golem. It's the golem. It's obviously an Ailman. See, yeah, people are getting to the spirit of this. Thanks for trying to save me here. Yeah. So, Amy, anything that? You brought up Lyanna. Yes, not enough, right? Like, I kind of wanted to see them come up to her, like, and
at least have a little bit of a dialogue. And she had and I apologize, I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but
Jennifer Chion Garcia.
Thank you. What a
this is a daily. It's a daily thing, Amy. It's like that's not impressive. Let's be honest. If I didn't know Jennifer Chion Garcia's name, that would have been depressing. Because
what are you even doing, Matt?
I know this is a daily thing, so don't take that for anything more than just I'm a total nerd about this on a daily basis. So,
well, for the time that she did have and the dialogue that was delivered, like fantastic, and just. I wouldn't speak if she slammed that her keeper staff on the ground.
Right. I would. Yeah, I think I missed out on Lyanna. I think a lot, and so let's ask everybody: are you feeling the same pain? You wish we had more Lyanna.
Also, her stole wasn't quite what I mean. Swan's costume wasn't what I expected, certainly, but is gorgeous, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I was surprised Leanne didn't have any blue that I spotted.
On
her costume.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When I was a teenager reading these books, I wanted everyone's outfit, so I'm very focused.
No, that's a. Wow. Oh yes. People, by the way, are sending in like ways that I could be right with my theory. Like this one, it's Lan wearing his color shifting cloak. Yes. Thank you.
That's how it's worked in. Sure.
Everyone's just being nice about it. So I did see this. Samantha suggested this poll, and then we'll bring in our next caller. Said, why can't Nynaeve's power be felt? She can block it. Her natural internal block hides it. No Aes Sedai can see it or other. So yeah, let's ask that poll. I'm just kind of curious. This one almost has 400 votes for Lyanna. I want to see how this one kind of turns out, but it does seem like we're already getting a picture for what's happening here, which is there is definitely a block of fans that think they would have liked to have seen more of Lyanna. Yeah, I think that's true.
I mean, I get it. The episode had a lot to cover. I'm not faulting.
Oh yeah, I thought it was really fast, but yeah, more of that. More Jennifer Chion Garcia would have been fantastic. Hopefully hopefully it will not be the last of Jennifer Chion Garcia. I want us to get more of her. By the way, she's changed how I view Lyanna. I always watch her on social media, and like she's always kicking somebody's butt, like and like. And I'm always like thinking like Lyanna goes down into the basements of the White Tower and just like practices like kicking.
I love this image.
She's totally changed. Like every time I see her, I'm like, she is scary. Like
secretly training with the warders sometimes. Oh yeah. Just like, please, I need to let some out.
Okay, so we're gonna ask this poll. Thank you very much for answering that one. Almost 500 voted. Do you wish? 75%. So there you go. Okay, we're gonna ask Samantha's poll. We're gonna go back to that question about why can't Nynaeve's power be felt. and she can block it was one of the options. That's interesting. Her natural internal block hides it, right? Her internal block hides it. I think that's a good one. We're talking about here, if you just joined us, we're talking about why didn't Moraine sense it in some form or fashion. No Aes Sedai can see it, can detect it. Let's say detect it.
Right. Yeah.
And then a fourth option here. Why can't Nynaeve's power be felt?
Because she doesn't want to channel, maybe. Like, whereas Egwene is like, yeah, I think this is cool. And Nynaeve's been like, Aes Sedai, no thank you.
Are we going to say that maybe, yes. Well, I was going to say maybe that was the first time she channeled.
Yeah, that too.
So, healing, or like episode 4 was her first channeling. Okay, let's go with that, everybody. Let's ask the community. Okay, so let's bring in our next caller and let's see what they have to say. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hey, it's Kyle.
Kyle, welcome. So how are you feeling? We've heard like all sorts of theories tonight. John brought some great theories into the show. I don't know if you heard that one about like the male channeler at the beginning.
He did. I did. Yeah.
Some great stuff. What's your comment? What did you think about episode 6 and where would you like us to focus?
I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Do you think that little 10-year-old Swan Sanchi pulled herself 2,000 miles upriver alone?
Yes.
The Tar Valon.
That's,
if anybody could.
Let's be honest. She probably had another weave. Like as soon as she got out there, she's like she did this weave, and then her boat got pushed in the water, or like it called fish or something that like carried it, something like that.
I was really enjoying the cold open, and then like when she's like, oh, she's got to go, it's so sad, and then she just goes up by herself. I was like, wait a minute, she's just gonna go upriver herself from here?
You're like,
what it says about me that it didn't occur to me. I was like, this small child will be
no, but let's be honest. Like, okay, you're saying this, Kyle, but you have to also admit that you're saying, but it is Swan Sanche. So
it's true. But it's also upriver.
If anyone's gonna make it, it was Swan Sanche. if that was even gonna be like possible. That's the one person in the books that we would accept. But no, that's hilarious. I did not even.
You make a good point.
I did not even think of that. All I was like was, honestly, I think I was like, if her dad is literally.
Her dad.
Well, I'm guessing her dad's like, I'm going to send you. He's obviously seen her do this before. He's probably like, you've taken us on day trips up the river, so. You
just do that more.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, just do that more.
Okay, so that was good. Anything else stand out to you like that? Can you bring us to some more humor for what from what we just experienced?
I don't know if it's necessary humor, but the scene where Moraine and Swan were kind of post love there,
sure.
And they're talking about the dragon and stuff, and she's like, maybe he's been spun out into the dragon is 3 different people.
Yes.
And while that's not correct, it's sort of that's kind of what happens in the books, and because it's always like it's Matt, Perrin, and Rand, and you need all 3, right? Even though Rand obviously is the dragon. So I thought that was interesting, and it made me think that the Matsidus Barney leaving at the end of this episode, maybe the next season will be like the great hunt for Matt, because they like, oh, we need him. It looks like we need all of these people to win, so we have to find him.
Yeah, I if the writers are out there, please stay away from the concept of splitting the soul. Please, for the love of all the metaphysics of this world, don't play with the split soul thing. That would there's so much you'd have to change then. It's like, don't touch splitting souls.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
But I think you make a good point that the 3 of them are very important. So in a way that it is, that could, what I mean, that could work. just not as maybe literally as
like actually split soul. Yes, like split purpose. They definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
Right? You need one of them, like, or you need all of them. Basically, take one of the legs and the stool out, kind of idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Myrdral says that Perrin in The Dragon Reborn at the very beginning. He says, "Cut one leg off the tripod, and the others will fall."
Yep. So yeah, I definitely can see it that way.
I wonder.
Yeah, absolutely. Just don't actually split souls. That's all I'm saying too. That's all I'm saying. Don't do it. Don't do it. That would break a lot. So
don't do it.
Yeah.
And do you guys remember Brando Sando saying that this was his favorite episode, right?
Yeah.
I did read that. Yeah.
I believe this is the one he said. Yeah. And it honestly makes sense to me. He brought this up when I think about his answer that he gave. Again, if you have not seen this interview, you should go. It was like a podcast episode he did with his friend Dan Wells, talking about the books for like an hour. And he mentioned that he thought the first 3 books, I'm going to totally butcher this, but it was like kind of like chase fantasy. It's like they're running up to the eye of the world, and then they're, going over to, chasing down the horn, and then they're chasing Rand. But then he talked about like the next 3, and book 4 is like one of fans' favorites, and so is book 6, and actually book 5 is amazing. And talked about how it's more kind of like the world building political intrigue fantasy. And I think that this episode brings that. So I'm going to psychoanalyze why he liked this one as part of the like kind of world building, politicking, idea versus like they're just kind of running somewhere. So that's my interpretation. But yeah, I wonder if that's why we're seeing kind of some popularity of this episode for him at least. Kyle, thank you very much for calling in. You brought a fantastic thought, which is how long did it take Swan to reach? I think that's what we need to ask. How long did it take Swan to reach Tar Valon? So that's the next poll we're going to ask here.
Keep in mind, she's going upriver because the girls in book 3, they go from Tar Valon to Tyr, but they're going downriver. Yeah. So it's got to take longer for her on her little boat with her bamboo stick.
Okay, everybody, keep in this mind. I want to ask you about this. Kyle, thank you very much for calling in, man. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Have a good one.
Thanks for having me. Talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
That's so good. Okay, so a couple things. Rant Almore just posted the show trivia just says that women can sense the strength of others when they are embracing the source.
Oh, hey, okay.
So strength of others when they're embracing the source, that might help kind of like answer how they're parsing this. But this is an interesting one. Almost 600 of you vote on this. Why can't Nynaeve's power be felt? 72% Amy picked her internal block hides it.
I think that makes
there you go, Samantha.
Terrific sense.
Nice
Samantha,
job.
like,
yeah,
pulling out
that's a great poll.
Nice.
Okay, hopefully you all listened to that. Like, how long did it take Swan to reach Tar Valon? What are some options here, Amy? How long are we going to say? 1 month?
Oh, sure.
Month?
Yeah. 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. So yeah, maybe like 2 to 4 months. And we can say like, actually, like we'll say like 1. Yeah, that's true. Less than 4 weeks. How about that? Less than 4 weeks.
Look, I'm bad at geography in real life.
4 to 8 weeks, and more than 8 weeks, and then we're gonna say like, I have no idea. I'm not good at math. There we go. I'm not good at math. There we go. How long did it take Swan to reach Tar Valon? That was a great comment.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah, way to go, Kyle. I really appreciate that thought process. 1 second.
Yeah.
One to do. Okay. We have 3 callers. I have 700 comments, but I want to go back to you, Amy. We're going to get to those people that are calling. I want to ask you about this. Comic-Con, how was that experience of interviewing the cast at Comic-Con?
Yeah, that was exciting that it came up. That was in October, of course, and was a little nerve-wracking because it was kind of their first major press outing.
Yeah.
Rosamund Pike, of course, a little more experience in that arena, and Daniel Henney too. But for the Emansville 5, I think that was kind of their first thing, other than maybe I think IGN did videos when they visited the set. I saw before, I think in 2019. So it was really fun. And it was, I think the challenge, which I'm sure you have faced as well, Matt, is finding that balance of, we can talk about things, but let's not spoil the show, and period, and definitely not spoil it for people who haven't read the books, which continues to be a challenge when I do my weekly interviews.
I've found this to be surprisingly difficult. Coming up with the right questions. I know everyone's out there thinking like, that is not, I mean, Amy, I'm sure this happened to you. I don't know if you actually had people tell you, but I know they were out there. That's not a good question, Amy, or whatever, like I'm sure people, when I ask questions, like, not good question, you could have asked these 7 other questions. I've spent, I don't know, countless hours, like, oh man, like, I can't ask them about this. No, we've already asked about this question. Like, how much time would you say you spent on the questions that you asked the cast and crew? Just ballpark your time, like those questions you finally asked them in that interview.
I think it was a good 4 hours, like, because I had to send them off to Amazon as well for approval. And, to your point, Matt, you want to ask something that you can get an answer to. So if you can ask, what can you tell me about this? They're gonna be like, can't talk about it. And then everyone's like, well, that was a good time for all of us, wasn't it? So you want to ask things that they can get thoughtful answers to.
Yeah.
And at that point too, I wanted them to all be comfortable. Like, this was a panel, and it was pre-taped, so we didn't have the pressure of being in a ballroom at a convention with thousands of people.
Right.
But it was really fun, and they were all delightful.
You're a pro, by the way. 4 hours, I would, like, in my head, like, that would have taken me like 16. Like, you're a pro. You're a pro. That's amazing. By the way, how long do you think it did? According to our fans right here, almost 500 of them voted. How long do you think it took Swan to reach Tar Valon?
Did we have a 2-month option?
We had more than 8 weeks. We had 4 to 8 weeks. We had less than 4 weeks, or I'm not good at math.
I'm going to say 4 to 8 weeks.
4 to 8 weeks. Oh, welcome, Master the Deck, to the show. Master the Deck, this is Amy. Master the Deck is one of my wonderful mods who gets to be in chat with everybody and on Discord.
Amazing.
Kayla does amazing.
It's so nice to meet you.
Well, hi, Amy. I loved your interview at Comic-Con. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that.
Well, by the way, it is 43% said more than 8 weeks. More than 8 weeks. Swan with going upriver. That was a great comment. Okay. That was what a funny call. What a wonderfully awesome call.
I was like, oh yeah. Good point, Kyle.
I love my fellow geeks. You all are.
I always love these pedantic ideas because I get stuck on them too,
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple comments here. Kayla, I want to get your reactions, and Amy, and then we have 3 people that are actually waiting for us, and I won't make you wait that much longer, but I always tell people we'll try to weave them into the conversation. We just can't do like 7 calls in a row. Tyler Kirby said, anyone else get face hugger vibes from the shadow thing? Did you like that? I totally dug that presentation. Like, when it hit Moraine's face, Amy, I see you like shaking your head. Yeah, like, tell me about it.
No, that's exactly what I thought of. I'm like, it is a xenomorph, but in a good, like, it did feel like have that look to it, and it was just unnerving, I feel like is the word, and just, I think I mentioned earlier, just such a really strong visual representation of all that is some serious, what.
Well, I think what they did really well here is they gave it a sentience of sorts, right?
Yeah.
It feels like you have to get it out of his body, and it feels like it's being put somewhere, and it feels like it has needs and wants in some kind of sentience, and I thought that was really well done.
Super disturbing.
That. Yeah, very disturbing. Kayla, what did you think about that Mash of the Deck?
My first reaction was God, that's gross. It's a really visceral representation of Mashadar, because obviously in the books Mashadar is white, it's a mist, but this sort of really icky feeling that permeates with regard to Mashadar and Mordeth and Padan Thane, it feels more like that. There's almost like goopy aspect to it, right? Where it's trying to get at her and get inside of her because it wants to infect somebody. So that whole idea of it moving from one person to another, like this infection, I thought it was a fantastically demonstrative representation of that.
Now, and I just presented this as Mashadar. Technically, you could take this as like, because Mordeth and Mashadar are 2 different things. You could you could kind of give this, like, I don't know if they're just merging it all into one, right? I think that's what kind of how I'm taking this is that, and John Smith just said, yeah, it looks like the symbiote from Venom. Yeah, it does have like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going in a different direction with that.
Well, I'm taking that right. I'm taking that they kind of merge the concepts a bit. In other words, they're giving us a little bit more sentience here, which is what obviously more death would be. And not as much as kind of like mindless or just like the fog that is Mashadar. And so I wonder if that's what they're doing here. But yeah, I really thought that was really interesting. That's a great one to call out here. But yes, face hugger vibes it is. Kirby, thank you very much. And then Laura Zedai said, I love this. The Amerlin seat is only waiting for one woman. I love that. Yeah.
And it's not you.
And it's not you. Right?
And it's not you. You know what? Bullets were flying with all the shots fired this episode. My God, the comeback.
So that's what I felt like. Moraine was like back in her element, as much as she's like, my boots are my home, the saddle's my home. I feel like this is a blind spot for Moraine where you're like, no, this is your home.
You're so much, just so much lighter. It felt like.
Well, it's that she comes from a lineage where that's kind of something that she is totally good at. Whether or not she loves it, she's good at it. And she was running that place. So like, it just felt like she's like, you're in my town and nope, I won't be talked back to. And I know what I'm about here and you don't know what you're doing. Like when she ran into, Kayla, how did that hit you? Her kind of, almost, it felt like an attack on Nynaeve where she said like your pride could have gotten you killed. Yeah. Did you think that was earned, if you will?
I mean, it's sort of like a follow-up to an earlier dig that she gave to Nynaeve. Like, or it was the same scene where she says, if you're a wisdom, you should start showing some.
Yeah. What did you think that was earned? I want to ask you about that.
Was that the same scene? God, I've only seen it once, right?
I don't know.
You're unprepared.
Yeah. I mean
they're absolutely there. It's like this with Moraine and Nynaeve right now. Nynaeve has no trust for Moraine. And given some of the scenes we've seen in this episode, somewhat rightly so. And so having Nynaeve just sort of call her out like that, in an objectively somewhat justified way, right? Because Matt could have very quickly become a danger, not just to himself, but to other people.
Yep.
It's sort of some cognitive dissonance, right? I'm team Nynaeve every day of the week.
Right.
And having those confrontations where Nynaeve is out of her element, she's in the powerhouse of somebody else. And to be set down like that, like it hurts me. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, like maybe we're forcing some character growth right now. And forcing Nynaeve into this position of either reflection or defensiveness really, really hard.
Yeah, and Library Addict just said that she was cautioning her about her ego, not attacking. Yeah, I wasn't meaning I thought she was attacking her versus really putting her in her place in the sense of not like callously on purpose, like calling to attention, like, hey, maybe you don't listen to anybody or know, but you got a blind spot right here, and it could have done a lot of damage.
Yeah, it was a call out. Yeah, absolutely.
Amy, did you like this? Did you like that? That's how the writers kind of put this together, if you will, with Moraine and Nynaeve having this moment.
Yeah, I think it's, a little necessary in that Nynaeve certainly knows a lot about healing with traditional herbs and healing in general. And she has a wisdom for a reason, a leader, but she doesn't know everything. And then maybe there's a point when she should be like, I don't know if it's something that she doesn't know what's going on. And I think it seemed pretty clear that whatever was happening with Matt was unusual and perhaps not responding to her treatments, that it's like, you have to like accept that maybe even someone you don't like can help out. In this case, it was Moraine. Or another Aes Sedai in general. So I think I am also team Nynaeve all the time, but I didn't hurt for her to have that experience.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because didn't she say something like, "Oh, Nynaeve, of course," or something to that effect? Like she was just like, "Of course you knew what was going on and did not tell me." That's how I took it. Of course,
yes,
I'm not somebody you trusted to come, and what could have happened to these people you said that you loved? It was character growth, mentoring. One of my favorite parts of this whole episode was a lot of these moments, right? so many of these kind of interactions, right? She's talking to an Ogier, she's talking to Nynaeve, she talked to Rand, she talked to Matt, she talked to Egwene, she talked to Egwene. She's basically interfacing with all of them again. They're all back together. And I think that was kind of what appealed to me was this is kind of like episode 1, but the full arc of episode 1 back in this moment where they've now made it here. And I like the kind of, it came back all around. So yeah, I really appreciated this moment. By the way, do you like the presentation of Mashadar in this scene? Yeah, almost 500 voted, and generally speaking, 88% liked it. Now, if this person's been waiting for 51 minutes, let's bring them into the show. They've been waiting a while to talk. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
This is Glenn the Geeky Hippie. How you doing tonight?
Glenn, how you doing? So tell me your thoughts, man. You got episode 6. What do you think?
Well, it's not my favorite, but I don't want to talk about that side. I want to talk about what I did like.
Okay. Yeah.
Sophia Canedo was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was great.
What a start.
And
yeah.
I can't wait to see more of her in seasons to come.
Yeah.
Right. We're in for a good ride with her, I think.
Fantastic job in casting Sophia Canedo here. Just owned that scene.
I think she stole the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she stole the episode. And yeah, Rosamund was great with her too, but I mean, Sophie just was top game. She did what Barney's been doing all season. And Barney's the one who I think deserves all the nominations so far, but Sophie just like, nope, this is my show now. Everybody can sit back and watch. And that's how it seems, but I gotta ask, what do you guys think is up with that painting, Tarangreal thing? Do you think that's related to, the Tarangreal they use for the accepted test or for raising for the shawl?
Oh, interesting. Like,
is that what you think that might be?
I mean, it's. I would say it's using some kind of similar mechanisms, but it feels like just kind of a fun innovation. Like Brandon did this when he wrote the last couple books. He kind of was like, "Hey, I get to be in this world now. There's some fun stuff I think that should have been done." So I
do what I want.
Yeah, I would say that they were like, "Hey, what would be a cool way to use this to give them a place where they could talk privately?" I think it was a great. It's okay. People are like, "Why do you like this episode?" Guess what? It's a Teleron-Riad-esque portrait, right? Connected to another one to create a freaking dream shard where you can like hang out. That's how I interpret it, by the way. You can pick whatever interpretation you want.
That's what I'm guessing.
I think that's what's happening.
Either that or because I don't think Swan's chambers are decorated to look like her shack back home in Tyr.
Yeah,
because that's what that looked like there when they were together.
Yeah,
but I've been wondering what that was. I thought it was like a message she was saying to Moraine when we saw it last week, but obviously that's wrong. So it's some kind of transportation or thing you into, like you said, a dream shard. So
yeah,
that's pretty interesting, I think.
I don't believe for the moment that it's just traveling. It doesn't make any logical sense. Not that not that necessarily everyone understands the metaphysics that deep, but it doesn't make any sense that like you'd have like two Tarangreal that were paired that would like let you travel to the same location in the world. I don't know. That seems less likely. You wouldn't have any private kind of space, and it seemed like that was very dream oriented. Like just go to sleep, and like she ended up back.
Very much so.
That's how I took it. Amy, did you think there was a good interpretation of it that you liked? Did you like the idea that it's traveling?
Yeah, I didn't really think that through. And then I was thinking, because Lan said, I'll stand or, be back before dawn. Like he's a dad. It was very sweet.
Yeah.
And then that he would stand watch, but that could apply whether she is physically traveling or not. Like he's standing watch. It would make more sense to me. He's standing watch with her there, looking out while she's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't think about that, but I could get behind it.
Well, she physically probably did go somewhere, unless she just like channeled standing there in front of it and then collapsed physically in front of the painting in her room, or continued to stand there while, in this dream shard or whatever it created.
Well, I want to. Is there other options here? Am I missing? So we have traveling is like traveling somewhere, right? We have a dream shard. Is there something else that we think it could be? I'm trying to think of from a mechanism standpoint. You could say
that's why I was
Teleronriad,
thinking
but,
similar to.
Like,
Well, that's why I was thinking similar to what they use for the accepted test, or wasn't there a Tarangreal involved with the racing to the shawl test, or was that just pure channeling?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
No, that's a good question. That's a good point. We could call it. Now I'm trying to think of what have we given this name before, but yes, that's a. Let me give this a name. We'll call it.
Portal Tarangreal?
I was going to say like a mirror. This is tough. I'm going to call a mirror world. Why can't I think of the word virtual? Yeah, I'm gonna call it a virtual mirror world. How about that, everybody? Virtual mirror world.
That works.
It's good enough. It's close enough.
We know what you mean.
It's not a great one.
Man.
So what does the portrait do? Traveling, like you just travel somewhere. It's a dream shard, something directly connected to the dream world, or it kind of creates a virtual mirror world bubble. We'll say it's bad. It's bad.
As long as the options aren't yes, no, and blue.
Yes, exactly. Vacuoles, you could connect this to a vacuole also. I didn't throw that in as a fourth option, but we'll go with what people have here. Yeah, that could be. So yeah, I liked the idea of I like the idea that it is a Tarangreal because it makes sense from a privacy standpoint. And so I love that. I love that it's like Tarangreal that does a dream shard just as cool. So.
And I have to differ with my buddy, the other Glenn. I really like Matt's healing. I don't know if it's a permanent full healing. I think that dagger might still be causing him problems in the future. At least I hope so. I hope to see Matt have to come back to Tar Valon in the future. But if they don't, that's not a big loss. You know, his story for Dragon Reborn can pick up later. But I did enjoy that scene. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's the healing of Matt I thought was done really well. But by the way, people are calling me out for the bad poll here. Okay, we'll give you I'll give you your Teleronriad request here shortly. Hey Glenn, thank you so much for calling in, man. Appreciate you bringing that in.
Thanks for having us.
We'll redo this poll for
everybody. Talk to you later, man.
Talk to you soon. Hey, bye.
Talk to you later.
There's some poll angst for people down there. So yes, we can go we'll give you your Teleronriad option. Everybody, we'll end this one. We'll come back.
Take your poll.
Yes, we'll give you a direct Teleronriad question here. What does I just don't think it's likely. I'm not going to argue the metaphysics of it.
Look at Matt sullenly creating this poll. Fine, I'll do it.
There's reasons why Teleronriad, but anyways, we'll allow.
You know what, Matt? I'm just going to jump on the Matt Hatch train here because
Dream Shard,
more about this than I do.
And then we'll give. I can't put all the other options, but we'll just we'll give the other group. There you go. So everyone can answer this one. What does the portrait do? Teleronriad connection of some sort, a Dream Shard connection of some sort, a traveling connection, or other. There you go. There's other fits.
None of these options are. Yeah. You're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. 4 options. 1 is wrong. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Let me jump through some of these comments here. You all sent in. I don't want to miss any. Waz Pac-Man, thank you very much for the tip. Inca Renanen said, book time. This is old, but I've been thinking about this for a while. I think we got Narg smart because if Fade wouldn't send a lone Trolloc in, so Narg was being the smarty pants with initiative who went to get Rand himself. Yeah, do you both, Amy, you think that was Narg that we did get? We just didn't hear him speak?
I think it was. And I specifically like the idea of thinking like he's the get up and go Trolloc who wants to climb up the ranks.
I like it.
And make it good. But I do think that was our Narg time.
Yeah. What do you think? Technically, Dream Shards are not in Teleronriad, but anyways, that's a different answer. Sorry, I'm responding to chat. Apologize. Kayla, go ahead. I get stuck on this stuff.
Matt.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go.
I don't know why I got it into my head. I convinced myself that we were not going to get Tam, Rand, and Narg. I had convinced myself that scene was not going to happen.
Yeah.
And which meant that I had put myself unintentionally in a position to be surprised by it.
Yeah.
And with it being such sort of iconic, like literal, monster bursting through the door moment was, in hindsight, rather satisfying. So the whole Narg smart thing, I mean, it feels very strange in the books because that's never really followed up on later, because Eye of the World is sort of almost its own creature, early Robert Jordan. But at the same time, I love that. And so having that sort of like this, these headcanons and ideas about why Narg was the smart Trolloc, I'm absolutely on the overachiever train. I love the idea that we've got the Trollocs out there that have aspirations of something greater. That they weren't quite genetically weird enough to be a Murdral, but they're like at the top of the Trolloc like hierarchy. Absolutely, I'm here for it.
By the way, everyone's like, people are just joining. They're like, "Wow, did you talk about Narg?" That's right. There's a comment.
Right? You know what? I don't know why either.
Look,
but
here's the deal.
There's
so many comments.
I moderate the chat. I'm not responsible.
So many comments came in. That comment came in an hour ago, and I feel bad. I want to make sure people. So the comment came out about Narg. I definitely think we got Narg. We just didn't get the speech of him, but I definitely overachiever Trolloc is a great thought. Brian asked, "Do you think Moraine's weird picture was a dream ter'angreal?" And maybe Swan has one as well. There we go. We're back in it, everybody.
Vindication.
What does the portrait do? You're answering this question right now. What does the portrait do? Is it a connection into Tel'aran'rhiod? Is it a connection to a dream shard, which are two different things? Is it traveling to a place, or is it something other? Skimming is not skimming. I can 99% tell you it is not skimming. But anyways, I think we'll answer that question.
Here's my idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's my idea, right? In the books, the little dream ter'angreal is a crutch for, a novice dreamer to help entering Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yep.
It makes sense to me that in this whole, weird Aes Sedai academia of the Age of Legends, that we would have had other ter'angreal that could help support people at higher levels of dreaming things. Now, this feels to me like Swan Sanche is being set up in a position to be something like a dreamer, like she's giving us the things that we would have gotten in the setting in The Great Hunt from the Aiel Maidens, right? The whole story of somebody blinding the eye of the world. So if there was a ter'angreal of some kind that could help somebody create a dream shard, which is a much higher level dreamer thing, like Ishamael is capable of doing, and maybe Luce Theron, I don't remember if he was a dreamer or not. I've only read the books 3 times, you guys. If that's a thing, and Swan Sanche was, there's a word I'm looking for, precocious, as Egwene herself was when she came to the tower. Why not someone else? Why she find a ter'angreal that could do this, or someone give her one, that sort of thing. So I've just gone off on an absolutely wild speculation tangent here, but that's my idea here.
Yeah, no, I like it. And
dream shard ter'angreal.
People pointed out that she has one right there on her wall too. So people asked about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. That's
two sides of the picture.
Yeah.
Coin.
Yeah. By the way, William K said in the books they seem to think that the last battle would take place at the Eye of the World. I think that was a hedge against there being no more books published after that. Yeah, can we take a moment, Amy? When it comes to the end of the Eye of the World, did you understand what was happening there?
I mean, no. First of all, I was very young, and that was the first fantasy book I ever picked up. No, it didn't take. Back then I would reread all the books before the newest one came out, because I was a teenager and had time on my hands. I guess I'm like imagining doing that now. I'm like, no, what a dream. So no, it took me a few readings to get it. And even just on a recent reread, like when I the first time I picked up the book in over a decade, and it's like, Oh, right. Now I like recall what that being not a mess, but not maybe the most clear thing I have ever read.
Yeah.
And open to a lot of interpretation.
It was a mess. It was a mess. From a metaphysics standpoint, Jordan hadn't figured it all out by then, that's for sure.
No.
So if anyone says they know exactly what happened there, we're all interpreting it at this point. Let me end this poll. What did portraits do? Dream Shard won out. Teleron was 30%. It's pretty a mixed bag, actually. Over 500 you voted on this one. And people are kind of like, I don't know. It could be a lot of different things here. So 21% think it was traveling. 10% think it was something else. Let me bring our next caller who's almost been waiting an hour. Let's bring them into the show.
Dedicated caller.
Yeah, right. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hey, this is Anas.
Anas, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
So excellent. I mean, right? We're like, Amy's holding in here strong with us. We're like into hour 3 at this point. We're in 2 hours and 15 minutes into a live stream talking about the 6th of 8 episodes of a first season of a television series that many of us have been waiting 30 years to see. So I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. I personally still feel very strongly about episode 3, probably because Matt and Rat are my favorite characters, and we saw a lot of them in episode 3. I think today was really good too. You know, I think the master schemer that is Moraine, seeing that, and then obviously Swan was awesome.
Yeah, again, guys, I know I saw somebody just enter a chat and they were like, I've liked some of the other episodes. This one sucks. Get it. Totally get it. I don't agree. This one's like my favorite. If you were telling me, if I go back now, 2 and 1 are kind of at the end of my list. They're kind of like, oh, those were cute. Those were cute episodes. But this one actually has so much kind of, it pays it backwards and it pays it forward for me. And I think seeing Moraine in her element here totally hits for me. Anas, what have we talked about something that we should have been talking about this episode?
Yeah. Well, I had a theory, so a prediction theory. So the only other Aes Sedai we saw today was the Blue Sister Megan, and we saw her talk in the halls, then we saw her talk with Moraine, and she, and they mentioned this a few times about the ships in the west, and she's going to go out there and
oh my gosh, we haven't talked about that.
Yeah. I think we're going to see Megan again next season, and she'll be a Damani and she'll be collared.
Oh, I love it. I mean,
wow.
I mean, look forward to that happening, but I love that theory that they're trying to they give us this little shot of her and their connection. Here, let me throw up a shot of this. That is one of the things we haven't actually talked about too. I love that we are being introduced to just a wide variety of Aes Sedai. Not like we don't get to know them all, but you can't imagine these people will probably be coming back, right? And seeing some of these characters. What do you think about this one, Mash of the Deck? Do you like the idea? Does this theory appeal to you? Is that what you think is going to happen in season 2?
I saw and felt and heard in my soul all these little mentions, like that conversation, the whole idea of ships disappearing in the West. That was like a dagger to me, because the Shan hit me in a very personal place. I really despise them, and just the thought of getting them in the show and what that's going to do to me in this new medium. The idea that she will become a Damani who appears to be the head of the Blue Aja, and a friend of Moraine, is it's proto devastating, right? I'm already in pieces over it. And so, like you said, on the one hand, I don't want this, but that's a really great theory, I think.
Yeah.
That if she personally is somebody who goes to investigate that situation, what's happening, that she could be one of the first, to be collared in the Westlands. And if we're getting the warnings about the Shan-Chan, I can't use words right now. There are better words to use. Right now, I can't imagine what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes, right?
Yeah, I love that. I did not notice it. Taylor noticed it. to tell you that, like
Taylor.
I know Taylor was
shout out for Taylor.
Was like, did you hear that?
Round
and I was
of
like,
applause,
what
Ladfier.
did I miss? And he's like, ships. They said going west, ships. And I was like, they did? So yeah, I was
they
like,
did.
Good job there. My son, who does production on the show for the last 2.5 years, has never read the books, but caught that. So yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. And also,
it's a family effort.
Yeah, exactly. I want to ask this theory to everybody. So, by the way, this poll did not occasion as much interaction because you guys haven't read The Eye of the World, have you? No. It said, do you think you understand the end of The Eye of the World, the book? Interesting. Almost 400 of you voted on this one.
The answer is no to that, right?
56% said no. Yeah. It's a confusing thing, even for the little hardcore fan freaks in here. So, oh, yes, I know. Weston just said we have a Steam tent set up at the Dusty Wheel in honor of the Steam room in episode today. That would have been great, but we don't.
I mean, I can do my best, but right. I only have this.
Yeah, so I want to ask this idea. Do you believe that Maigan, I'm going to totally miss, is it Maighan? Maigan, will become a Damane? Ooh, that's a...
I don't like typing it. I don't even know. Yeah. I'm not typing it.
Yeah, right? I hate it a lot.
There's your theory. Anas, fantastic. You brought an awesome theory in. I love it. Love it. Love it. That's great. Let me give you a last final shot. Just anything else you wanted to kind of throw at us before we let you go? Any final thoughts about episode 6 or the series so far?
Not really. I think, I think the group is back together. Just looking forward to the last 2 episodes. I think we probably haven't seen, a little bit of action. I think we're due for some action. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if that was the reaction some people got. They're just like, I want to get this on, I'm gonna post this to everybody. It feels a lot like the books. I know there's some angst about changes. I get it, but the pacing feels a lot like the books, right? Like,
I agree with that.
Like, we're kind of in Camelin right now, and and we're leaving Camelin into the ways, and it feels like that's about 3/4 of the way through. Am I misremembering that? It just feels like it. And then we have the Faldara and the end. Like it's the...
Yeah.
So it just feels a lot like the book's pacing. I thought they were going to go a lot faster.
Every time I read The Eye of the World, I'm like shocked by how far into it I am when they actually get to Gamelin.
Yes. Right.
I'm like, things are picking up now. Yes.
Right.
How much have I read?
Yes. It surprises me. Anas, thank you very much for both those thoughts. Appreciate it, man. And we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. That was fun to bring that up. We had not brought up that yet. I'll be honest. I just mentioned this in chat to someone. I kind of wanted them to skip this whole Eye of the World thing. I was like, find some other way to end this season. Because I just polled book readers. I just polled a lot of book readers. Like, did you understand? Do you think you understood what happened at the end of The Eye of the World? 56% were like, no, I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what happened. So it was just one of those where I'm like, oh yeah, it is so confusing. Well, but go ahead.
Counter, I feel like they will adapt it now that they had that opportunity to not rectify that. That's not the right way to say it, but to add some clarity and make it clearer, especially as they are considering people who have not read the books. I feel cautiously optimistic that they will bring some new light and new sense to that whole situation.
What a challenge that has to be, because it is a messy way to end a first book that honestly was not set up to move on very well. So I like
my question with all of this is it the setup to going to the Eye of the World. That seems to be the conversation around it is this sort of Highlander situation. There can only be one. They're setting up this danger that the Dragon Reborn is the only one that can leave the Eye of the World alive. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
They even ask the question, what about the rest of us? What about everyone who's not the dragon? I'm I would like to know as well, right? What's going on with this? And so, not just the ways or the blight, but something about the Eye of the World itself. I'm very curious. I'm interested to see what the motivation is here for making the Eye of the World seem so dangerous.
Yeah. Man, it's gonna be fun. We have 2 more episodes left. That's it, everybody. That's all we got.
How dare you? How dare you say that?
Okay, so I know
there are only 2.
I know, only 2 more, and then everyone's stuck. For those of you that are not liking this, there won't be any more episodes for a while. And so then there's nothing to dislike that's new that's coming out, I guess. For those of you that are liking it, it's going to be more of a bummer. It's going to be
wait.
It's going to be a huge wait. Now, there's someone's waiting online here. I'm going to, by the way, we leave book spoilers on. I'll turn that off for now. Someone's been waiting 59 minutes, almost an hour. Let's bring them in. And then we'll go through some comments. We'll keep polling you. I'll let this one go to about 500 votes. Do you believe Mygon will become a Damane? 84% are digging Anas's theory. Oh man, I can't even remember all the theories that people are. I feel weird. Like I've probably been like, that's a cool theory, and like somebody proposed it like last week or something. But that one Anas no one had. That's a great way to leave this one. So let me welcome our next guest. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hey, this is Matt from Tampa. How are you guys?
Matt from Tampa, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad I waited out the 59 minutes. It was worth it.
Appreciate you doing that. You held in there. Sorry, there's so much going on tonight, as you can just imagine. Okay, so how are you feeling? You got 6 episodes.
I'm glad you gave the minute count.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
I admitted to how long I made you wait.
So first thing, no, it was good because then I knew if I was up next or if I had time to go pee. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
But yeah, so I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm 37. Okay. I started reading the books in 9th grade. So over 20 years I've been reading the books. Yeah. Like a lot of people, I nerded out. Every time a new book came out, I reread all of them. I got really fat and lost a whole bunch of weight and reread them on the exercise bike every day. So I've literally read these books like probably 25 times, like a piece.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the last couple of books, maybe only 20, right?
Yeah.
So I just keep trying to remind myself, this is not the books come to life.
Right.
It's an adaptation of the books for the big screen.
Yep.
So I can kind of let go of some of the stuff that isn't there that I love.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think they're doing, a pretty good job with, like, a lot of people mentioned the character, the casting and stuff. It's just spot on. Wish Moraine was a little shorter, but I love Rosamund Pike, so I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Barney for Matt is a bummer for everybody. Like, just of all the characters, he really hit the head on the nail, I think, with Matt. So great character. But I also wanted to mention, as far as like the Aes Sedai being able to detect one another, Moraine does mention in the first book, she says straight out when she's talking to Nynaeve, I talked to you for 2 minutes and I immediately recognized who you were. Yeah. I was looking for the wisdom, thinking she would be twice your age. So, and there's also a part later on, trying not to give a spoiler, but Rand hides Egwene and the the Aes Sedai who are there. When they leave the room, one of them, I think it was Galena Caspin, she says, did you guys notice there was another Aes Sedai in the room with us?
Yeah.
So they can feel each other and sense each other, even when they can't see each other or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. Nynaeve, I guess, technically was already channeling at that point because she, in the books, she channels to heal Egwene when she was very young.
Yep.
Well, yeah, so
they did change that story a little bit. If I remember correctly, they changed it the way that Nynaeve explained the story.
Yeah, they left out the coolest part.
Yeah, they changed that again, and that goes back to kind of like, are they changing the metaphysics, or are they really making this the first time that she channeled? That's one of those that, like, I wonder if they'll clear up and be specific about it, or they'll let us kind of stir among fandom. And like,
this feels like Aes Sedai speak to me.
Yeah, could be.
Moraine didn't know that she could channel. But what else could she do?
Yeah. Do you think
maybe it kind of takes away from the thought that there's a spark in them, though, where she was going to channel by the time she was 17, no matter what, right? So the whole idea of you have to learn versus the spark is kind of taken away. If that was her first time channeling, then
because the learners.
So that's kind of
the learners.
But that's not the biggest.
Yeah, the learners would have to be. Yeah, there would have to be some teaching going on there. So, and for a Sparker,
Yeah.
she's old for that. Yeah, it's that one's, to me, it's kind of like it's out there, and we have to figure that one out, or they'll just need to tell us of like what it is. But that was an interesting
if you remember,
go ahead.
When Mazeram Tam teaches Rand how to test other men, he kind of does the same thing that Moraine did with Egwene, where they just stare at that flame, and then the final pulse is Dammer Flynn, right? And so it's kind of the same deal, right, where they're detecting, and you can feel his pulse, and you know it came from Dammer and not from Mazeram Tam, and that's how you know that Dammer can channel.
Yeah, and you.
So
and
I guess they kind of could be looking at it.
I'll agree with this, but Paul said, and this is kind of to reiterate what Master of the Deck said here. 1 second. Don't presume characters, the character tell or know the truth. Because it does seem like Leandrin's like, you didn't know, like, although Leandrin didn't seem to know either. In other words, no one seemed to know about Nynaeve until. So that's the interesting. And I think what came up in chat was maybe there was some kind of block that she had, and maybe somehow they're adding some concept of a block would prevent others from detecting it. I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's one that's easier to lose an entire. We could probably do a whole episode. We probably will someday. Let's be honest. Once this first season's over, like February is going to be like, let's figure out channeling in the Wheel of Time TV series, like detecting channeling. So do tell me, so far, before I let you go here, you've been waiting a long time. Is there a theory that you have that the show, just purely in the show, or has there been kind of a favorite moment over these last 6 episodes you want to share with us?
Man, I thought they did a great job with the Trollocs and the fades. I was really happy that those they came out pretty well, not too clunky or weird. I'm just kind of along for the ride at this point, to be honest, not to be a Debbie Downer, but as just an uber fan of the books, there are so many changes and so many little things that are kind of left out. Like you guys mentioned earlier, how does Perrin get back to the Two Rivers if the Waygate requires channeling? I mean, why couldn't they have the doors where Loyal just walks up and picks out the leaf off of the door? It doesn't seem like that would be any more complicated than Moraine channeling. So they put a lot of emphasis on channeling, which is understandable, but then it kind of leaves out some of the other characters who are really powerful in their own right. Matt and Perrin, for example, Lan, who is a real quiet, stoic guy, and then in the show he's a little bit more vocal and a little bit more emotional. But I'm kind of just I'm a little I guess just because I read the books for so long that just wanted to see everything exactly the way it was in the books, and that's unrealistic expectation.
I think being along for the ride is like you said, I think everyone's got to take themselves to a space that's works for them, and so it sounds like that's kind of where you brought yourself. So hey, hopefully you keep on with the ride. Hopefully you stick around here. We'll be talking about this for like the next year and a half, and hopefully season 2 will maybe the ride will be more interesting and more fun by then. So hey, have a good one. Okay, I appreciate you. Appreciate you holding on line for so long, man. Sorry it took us so long to bring you in. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for doing these live chats, man.
Absolutely,
it's great. It's nice to be able to chat about it with somebody who doesn't think I'm a nerd.
No. I've been 1990, man. This has been like more than half my life. So hey, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Same to you, bud.
Yeah. No, and I think I get this. Amy, for you, how long did it take you to get into a space? I mean, I'm assuming that you're enjoying this so far. You're here chatting about it. Was it immediately you saw the screeners? Did you have a kind of a time that you were like, okay, I need to do that again. I need to get to a place where I'm enjoying this, or did you immediately kind of enjoy what you saw?
Oh, I went in expecting it to be, different, very different. That's what adaptations are. It's rare that they can be book to screen exactly and work well. I think sometimes when that does happen, I'm like, maybe you should. And it's a lengthy series. If they want to they're not going to. If they committed to making every book as is, they'd be doing it for the rest of their lives. I don't know, a very long time. So in watching the screeners, I went in open-minded. And really the only thing I've struggled with, and I still struggle with, is the whole Layla situation.
Sure.
Just because I'm like, let's not fridge women in 2021. That'd be real cool. But I really like accepted I feel good about the way they condensed the Two Rivers story. I feel like throughout, the heart of the story is there and the spirit of the characters are there for me. And that's what I need. And you can rearrange things. I think maybe there are touchstones that you don't mess with, but overall, I'm pleased with the way they've kind of nudged things along and condensed things and left out certain characters. So it's different 100%, but I'm okay with that right now.
Yeah, Master of the Deck, how long did I mean, you're here, you mod this place along with others. Seems like you're enjoying the ride for the last bit. What have you, was it immediately something? I can't remember, I haven't asked you. Did you just like get right in, you were there, or did it take you time to kind of process the differences and the changes before you really could come to a place where you're enjoying it?
I think I'm a person who likes to be surprised. I had the good fortune to read The Wheel of Time for the first time in 2017 and was uninvolved with any kind of other book fans or fandom or anything. And so I was able to just kind of go from, 1 through 14 and then New Spring without any of the, influences or other sorts of, things happening that perhaps newer fans will. I'm also, I'm a lifelong fan fiction reader and writer. I've been reading and writing fan fiction for 19 years. And so I am steeped in transformative work. It's an art form, and it's a community that I have been part of most of my life. And so this an adaptation that's done from a place of passion, from a place of care, and obviously from a place of deep love and appreciation for the source material is my bread and butter. This is what I live for. These are the sorts of surprises and what ifs and small changes or fix-its, as we might call them, in the business, that I absolutely adore. And I have great, empathy for people who love the canon and want to see that canon and are surprised by the changes, or who don't enjoy the changes, or who they just wanted this one thing to be the same. They always wanted to see that one thing. And I have those same things. I have some hills I want to die on. I really want to see Rand for a rocket Matt. Okay. Like I need that. But if I don't get it, like with the Wheel of Time, there's so much, there's so much that there are all these little nuggets you can pull from here and there. That little homage to the Gathering Storm that we got in Loghain's speech in the opening of episode 4. In this episode, these, the idea about, the dreams, the pulling from the great hunts. I mean, this is it's what I do. It's what I live. And so from the first, there's no way that I would have been able to hate this. And there's so much to love in these bits and pieces, and then to see what the writers in the writers' room have done, and to bring this all together, to weave it all together, not to be a pun person here, is just, it's really satisfying for me. And I, for people who are not satisfied, I'm sorry. And I hope that you find something in here that resonates with you the way that I have and the way that other people have. I think it's really fantastically done. Even when sometimes I'm like, that was a choice. Let's see what they do with that.
By the way, I asked everybody what's the hill they want to die on. Lots of Dumai's Well. Dumai Well Hill, Min and Tan, T with Varen. Oh man, yeah. Battle of Two Rivers, Galad. I hear it. I hear it all.
My hill to die on is petty now. Gosh.
Do you believe, by the way,
something better?
This last poll was, do you believe Maegan will become a dreamer? 80% of you believe that. I forgot to end that poll, so it's just been hanging out there this entire time. You're like, give us a new poll. Okay, here's how the last 20 minutes are going to go. have a ton of
They
comments
hate the
to
polls,
cover.
They love the polls.
Ton of comments to cover. I can only take these last 2 callers. That's it. Only 2 more callers are bringing in. We need to go through these comments here and let these 2 fine people that are here on my show get back to their lives, because at some level people need to sleep, right? And then talk about this tomorrow. So let's bring in our next caller and we'll get some comments right after that. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hi, this is William K.
William, welcome to the Dusty Wheel, man. How you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you doing, Matt?
Dude, we're almost 3 hours into a live stream, and I could probably do this for like another 7 or something. But there's a live stream tomorrow, and I need to go prep for it. So I'll be honest. I need to go do some prep work for tomorrow.
Hey, Matt.
So, yeah.
Matt, I have to work tomorrow too, but I'm telling you, real life is overrated.
It's true. It's somewhat. I still want all the people that
we are all here. We are all here for the Carothian cycle.
So tell me, episode 6, how did it go over for you? Is it one of your favorite, one of your least favorite? How did this turn out?
It was my favorite.
Okay.
Honestly, so before tonight, so last night I watched your episode 1 through 3 after show.
Okay.
But I only watched the first 2 because I had to go to sleep.
Understood.
But then I woke up today half an hour before my alarm went off and was immediately like, I need to watch the next hour and a half of that show for episode 3.
Dedicated. I like it.
I have not seen your coverage of 4 and 5.
Okay.
Because it was only earlier today that I realized that episodes were released at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so it's funny because my work shift ends at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Gotcha. So what did you end up?
And so I was like,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. So I was like, at 7 p.m. Eastern, that's it. I'm watching the show, and then I'm joining the live stream for this.
Good. So what have you thought, man? What's your favorite part of episode 6? What have you enjoyed most about the show tonight?
This is my favorite episode.
Okay.
I did see the Taylor ratings, and so I was a little tempered by that, to be honest.
Yes.
Although,
go ahead. I was going to tell everybody what Taylor ratings are really quick. My son rates things, and he has very high standards. And so I think he gave like episode 1, how he views it, like a 6. But I think he loved episode 4, and he gave that it was episode 4 he loved the most, and 8, maybe episode 5, a 7. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, anyways, if you mention the Taylor scaling, it's a very aggressive scaling.
Yeah. So Taylor scaling, I saw him at the end of your show for episode 3, and he basically gave it a 6.76.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I had to configure that. I had to work that into my rating, and I texted a friend of mine. He was not watching the show, and I said every scene in this show was 10 out of 10 to the last.
Okay.
It was 9 out of 10. Okay. And then I said, but initially I was giving it a 6 out of 10 because I did not like that Moraine had to channel to open the Waygate.
Okay. Sure.
But honestly, Matt refusing to enter made it a 9 out of 10 for me.
Interesting. Okay.
Because that is so Matt. That is so Matt to refuse to follow the crowd.
I like that you say it's so Matt.
True.
So
if you've paid attention in the chat, you can see that my profile picture is the dice. So Matt is clearly my favorite character, and my profile picture has been dice for probably 10 years. It was not something I put there just for this.
So I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this question then about Matt. Do you like this? And I want to ask everyone here in chat that's watching. Do you like this twist? Because obviously this is a big change. We haven't specifically talked about this one, so I'm glad you brought it up. Do you like what's been done? Let me go to Amy first. Do you like Matt take out all the conversation in your mind about like actors and stuff like that. Do you like the twist that Matt does not enter the ways?
I think our caller here makes a good point that it is a Matt thing to do, to like, what's y'all doing? No, I'm good. This also seems dangerous and I'm out. But I really like Matt. I really like them as a group. It is a big change. Again, I'm open-minded, but it is weird to think about them moving forward for an indeterminate amount of time at this juncture without Matt. And like makes me feel like a little sad, really, that I'm like, what are you going to be doing out there on your own? I'm making terrible choices about something, undoubtedly. But they're always entertaining choices when they're terrible.
Making terrible choices. I see a lot of this comments in chat, which is the dagger. Like the idea of the dagger is pulling him. What did you think about it? So Mash of the Deck, are you in favor of this change? I mean, so far, we don't have anything beyond this. Do you like this twist that it's not they all go and Matt stands back?
I'm trying to put myself in the right headspace to answer that, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I got to the end of the episode and I said to myself, I need a minute to think about it, because my first thought is to say that Matt would not, that he wouldn't leave his friends behind. That seems like a not like book Matt thing, thing to do. But at the same time, he leaves Rand behind. That's a very specific difference, to the book. I have feelings about Matt and Rand's relationship. Anyway, but as far as where they're setting things up in the show, Matt has got absolutely good reasons not to go to the eye of the freaking world, especially if it's like a death sentence. He thought maybe he could channel, but then suddenly he's cured of whatever weird Shadar Logoth stuff was there. Or, possibly he just wants, some more dagger magic. I don't know. So I'm of two minds on this. It feels like a departure, but it feels like a good step for the show. I think that I'm a wait and see person. I'm always like, okay, that was a choice. Let's see what they do next.
Okay, that's a fair place.
I think they can make this. I think they can convince me. They can make this work. Right now, I am waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, I think that's where we're all at. William, I want to ask you that and probably let you go so I can get into this next caller in. But I want to ask you this: do you think it's a good choice? And if so, why? Or if not, why?
I think overall, Matt's character in the show is very well developed. You pointed out before that in the book, it takes a long time for Matt to become important. And my view of the show is that they are trying to make Matt, Aaron, Egwene, Nynaeve important right now, because the vast majority of the plot going forward is going to focus on Rand. And if you watch the show, you've seen that Rand is kind of a minor character at this point. And I think it's intentional, just so that the audience will fall in love with the other characters before Rand comes to the forefront. As for Matt, I had dinner with Robert Jordan in 2001, and I asked him about the three main male characters.
Casual flex.
And he said, yeah, well, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to flex. I'm just saying, I had a conversation with him, and he told me that Lan was based on the idea of what his father told him a man should be.
Okay.
And that Matt was based on him as a young individual, carefree, crazy, doing crazy stuff like most people do. And that Rand is more of a matured part of him.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like you sharing that with us. By the way, thank you very much for holding online and waiting so long to jump in. Appreciate you sharing that. And
thank you very much for quoting me twice in the show.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I try to pull things out
I
of
love your show, Matt.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you.
I love your show, Matt. You do a great service to the fandom. Thank you very much for doing that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Have a good evening. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you back here at the Dusty Wheel. See ya. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to answer this poll. Just almost 400 of you voted. How would you rate the first 6 episodes of season 1 from 1 to 10, where 10 is the best? 78% are in the 7 to 9. That's kind of where I hear a lot of. Obviously, I know a bunch of people in the 1 to 3, but I hear most people like, yeah, I'm in that kind of 7 to 9. I think I've given it like an overall. Today's episode maybe kind of increased it a little bit for me, but I'm in that kind of. For all the episodes, it just depends on which one we're talking about, in the 7 to 8 range. This one was more kind of the 8 to 9 range for me, of just like, this is the kind of mix of things I like that appeal to me. I get that doesn't appeal to everybody, but it's that. But 3 was like really top of the list for me. But okay, there's so much going on here. I wanted to make sure everyone kind of gets a shout out here. So Samuel, thank you very much. Did Moraine want to be seen at Rand's Inn? Definitely. That's a great point. Moraine's just sitting out there having tea. Everyone knows where she's at. Definitely calling attention. Samuel, great call out there. Tyler just said, thank you very much. It said, Leandrin feeling disgusted and resentful, but still wanting men is a far cry from the early depiction of the Red Aja in the books, but I like it. Yeah. I like how Leandrin kind of holds herself out. She's like, is that a statement or whatever to Nynaeve when she's like, so do you hate men? And she's like, well, I don't. I thought she said something like, but like,
is that a question or a statement?
A question or a statement. But I thought
Yes.
I thought she said something else beyond that, but maybe she didn't add anything to that. But kind of seems like Moraine's comment suggests even more going on there. Hybrid Havoc said, if it's channeling to open, if Fane follows them, that it implies he has a certain kind of assistance. Ooh, that's a good question. So let me ask everybody here in chat, do you think Fane will follow through the ways? We've seen this play out before. Okay. Yeah, Hybrid Havoc, that's a great one. Samantha said, people are asking how Perrin and company will use the Waygates to get back to Two Rivers. Maybe they'll take an Aes Sedai with them. There you go. There's an answer, right, to that question. Watt Phantom said, even panels on the inside of the gate will have a leaf, and you change from one side to the other. Yeah, we don't know that the leafs on the Waygates won't be used.
Still cooking them up.
That could still.
I said it in the chat. I feel like there's a missing scene here.
Yeah.
Like, because Loyal was there. Well, no, he did show up, and Moraine asked if someone brought him with him. But there seems like there was some sort of conversation that happened that I wasn't aware of. I mean, I'm all about the long shots. We watched that video, and I was sure it was someone on a horse, and it ended up being a woman running. You were right the whole time, Matt.
Hey, look, I wasn't right about somebody standing next to Loyal. So, yeah, and I see this comment a lot from fans of like, why was this one so many people's favorites? It just depends on how much politics and world building and, for example, creative uses of Terangrial and that touch on dreaming and stuff matters to you as a book reader. It depends on how much you like to see the Amerlin face down a false dragon in the Hall of the Tower among the sitters. Like, it just depends on like what really appeals to you versus other things. So I guess it's not everyone's favorite, but for me, definitely hit really well. Light Hallican said, I think Leandrin's meeting a dark friend, but people think it's a lover because she tries to hide it. We covered that one earlier if you want to go back. Tyler Kirby said, what? I'd swallow a toxic relationship for Leandrin, and she's fine. Okay, Tyler. Tyler's really digging Leandrin.
Her cheekbones could cut someone, and they're gorgeous. So
right.
Sure.
Moraine would recognize. Vixane said Moraine would recognize Fane from the Two Rivers. Yes. Kind of makes you wonder if Moraine knows about him there. Peta said, I'm guessing no Tom and Moraine then. Do you think that's what's, do you think, Master Deck, that they're really making a statement here that this is a relationship, this is Moraine's relationship for the series? We're actually taking that out of the books. I have a lot of friends that would like that to be true. Do you think that's going to be the case here?
I think that anything could happen. My interpretation of the canonical text is that Swan and Moraine were lovers. They weren't just, the quote unquote pillow friends. They were very close in relationship. And, setting aside all of the, the discourse about pillow friends and whatnot. As far as the show goes, there are a huge variety of choices that could be made with regard to any of these characters,
Sure.
you know, and their relative importance and their relationships, you know, to each other. Right. We could see a profoundly different relationship between Matt and Rand in terms of Matt, you know, wanting to run away from him and being afraid of a channeler and always wanting to get away from him. Right.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a platonic relationship in the books. With Swan and Tom, you know, as Moraine being a canonically queer character, who was in a relationship, you know, romantic and sexual, not just with women, but also, you know, with men, that, you know, to have her be with men and women in the books, or sorry, in the show, there's no reason to say right now that that's not something that could happen.
Sure.
You know, because in my opinion, Moraine was never, you know, a gay character or, you know, a straight character. She was queer.
Yep.
You know, she was, you know, bisexual, pansexual, however it works. You know, she had romantic and sexual relationships with men and women that we know of. So we've seen Tom in 2 episodes, right? And they didn't get together until spoilers. Sorry,
It's
I
full
don't
book
remember
spoilers.
how long it's been.
It's full book spoilers, but yeah, if you're still here, full book
right.
spoilers, everybody.
So
yeah.
Sorry, I guess that like the spoiler was in the question, right? I didn't do anything. It's not my fault. So I recuse myself from responsibility. So, I mean, I never bought into that in the first place. I would love to see where they go with it in the show. I don't think that this episode shows me anything other than that Swan and Moraine have got a profoundly deep connection, and it absolutely tore me to shreds in this episode that, you know, that it went from like the highs to the lows. It was we get some deep cuts here.
Yeah.
No, and I was absolutely here for it.
Yep. By the way, looks like 350 of you voted. Do you think Fane will follow through the ways? 66% said yes. This one's interesting. Village Mattress said Leandrin's meeting with Fane, and he's the source of the information she has on Emmons Fielders. Do you like that, Amy?
Oh.
Do you think that that's how she kind of figured this all out?
I mean, it makes sense. And if she had other spies working within Moraine's network, I wouldn't be surprised either, but that would be a handy direct solution. And I really appreciate those.
Yeah, that would be like a really easy one. That would make a lot of sense. And again, Moraine almost saying to her, like, I don't have time for this, but I know what you're up to, could also make Leandrin want to get away and get out. And so anyways, I could see that pushing Leandrin to make some choices. Peta said, I feel like Matt can't leave without the dagger. I think that's a good interpretation. Rational Nerd said in the book, Swan being lax with Moraine is a reason for her stilling later on. Now she's exiled. How do you think this will later affect Tower politics? I think they're going to find out about what they're up to. I think they're going to use a very similar vein to get there. And I think we're going to end up having something similar happen, even though Moraine's been exiled. Samantha said, many are upset that Land seems so much more inept in the show. I have to agree this week. He had one job and left Matt all the way at the 50-yard line. Don't really understand the ending. Nice job. Yeah, Matt. That's a good point.
Not Land's fault.
Okay, do you think that Moraine was like, if Matt doesn't enter, leave him? You know? Like, basically they had an agreement, like, yeah, whoever comes.
I don't think she considered that would happen, to be honest.
Yeah, she looked back and she didn't seem like any hurry to like do anything about it.
She's just like, oh, that is his choice. I am.
Yeah. So yeah, Samantha's saying that she thought that like Lan was the one to blame there. Do you think that's true?
It's an interesting contrast.
Yeah.
With the previous scene in episode 2 when Rand has his confrontation, right? You know, why should we trust you? You know, I'm like, okay, leave. And he says, why? Well, you know, why do I think that you wouldn't let me do that?
That's right.
And then, you know, Moraine rides away, but then we see Lamb, you know, lurking in the shadows, right? He followed up to make sure that, you know, they went, or, you know, just to see what happened, I suppose.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's different this time around. So, yes, I have questions. And is it Thursday yet?
Right. Exactly.
Or Friday, depending on your time zone.
David Gregory, try and freeze frame when it first shows Rand riding to the Waygate. Pretty cool. Okay. That's a end of episode kind of thing, fun thing to try here. Let me see if I can, when Rand goes through the Waygate, huh? Well, we'll try to find that here shortly, everybody. Sherry said maybe 90's block has something to do with Moraine and Leandrin not recognizing her strength. Thank you very much, Sherry. Spooky McSpook said Nynaeve being able to learn to channel but not actively able to channel could fulfill I was not aware she could channel. There you go. There you go.
That's the language.
There's the language. Thank you very much. Spooky just gave
I was
us.
thinking, like,
I was not aware
I knew she
could
could listen to the wind. I didn't know she could channel.
Yeah, I was not aware she could channel. Interesting. Like I get that, like that Aes Sedai speak there. Thank you. That totally explains it well enough. Charlie White said prior to the release, there was a lot of anxiety about nudity. Do you think the nudity in this episode is GOT level excessive, or was the secret meeting in the bathhouse effective world building? I thought it was effective world building. That's how I took it.
Yeah, I feel like that was very mild nudity.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was actually like
classification. I don't know,
Well,
but I think that like Moraine wanted to go in the steam room. Like she'd been traveling. Like, yeah, have your meeting there. I thought that was like the way Megan said it was like, oh, you can't do anywhere else like a normal person.
I just thought it was like they just handled it really normal. And I was like, that's cool. Like no one was. Yeah, it was just part of their, whatever their culture. I don't see I'll have to look for the freeze frame there, David. I don't see it. Village Mattress said, is Lan wearing his color shifting cloak? That was a reference to someone standing next to Loyal. Mark said, my biggest issue with this episode is the ending. They left Matt. Couldn't Moraine just reopen the door? If not, does Matt not get the horn? See, that is the weird question. Too. Like, couldn't you reopen the door? Why don't you?
It's not like a one time.
Yeah. Vixane said, maybe our Innkeeper is really the Dragonborn. Only he can see LTT in that scene. That's right. Only I can see somebody next to Loyal's horse. That's right. Samuel said someone else, Fane or Leander, will use the Waygate. Matt will follow them. Oh, interesting. Troy said Bella, a.k.a. the creator. Thanks, Troy. Fresh Prince of the Raven said at 40:30:10, did you see Egwene's face as Swan talks about a powerful channeler and then says Nynaeve? Yes. Egwene's look, she definitely thought it was her. Troy said Alana is going to inadvertently bring around Swan being deposed. Ooh, interesting. I want to tackle that really quick here. Was Lan to blame for Matt to stay? 80% said no. And I ask you both about that. That's the last. There's 2 comments, a caller. We're going to be ending up here. But quickly, thumbs up, thumbs down. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it. But Amy, you like this idea that Alana, because she does say she's like your enemy to Moraine. Do you think that Alana pushes and Alana's part of the push to depose Swan?
I don't like it, but I can see it.
Yeah. How about you, Match the Deck? Can you see it happen? Whether or not you like it?
Alana's a wild card, not just in the books, but seeming so right now. Aes Sedai are their own people. She's there. Moraine's not. Why not?
Yeah. What do you think about that in chat? If you're still watching us, if you're still here listening in, do you like this idea that Alana's actually part of that process? That's an interesting theory. Moth said all Marath Damane need to be leashed. Nice. And Anas' last thought was thinking how Matt gets to Faldara back with the group in season 2. Okay. Fane captures, kidnaps, lures with dagger him through the ways. Oh, interesting.
Oh, the dagger could pull him there.
The dagger pulls him back. That's an interesting idea. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thanks, everybody. Let's bring our last caller in. I'll get final thoughts from y'all. Here we go. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hi, this is Jessica or Emerlyn Sedai on Twitter.
Jessica, how you doing? It's awesome to hear from you.
Good.
I already know you're bringing me a theory, aren't you?
Excited.
You're bringing me a theory.
I am. How did you know?
I knew that. I knew it. Okay, you're the last caller. Our last theory of the night. What is it?
Okay, so I wanted to go back to the Eye of the World, and I think there was a lot of little crumbs built up. So we know, I'm going to start at the end, Rand thinks he killed the Dark One, and it's sort of set up with Swan's dream. She's telling them this is the Dark One's prison. So, it sort of leads credence to Rand believing that. But also with Moraine being there, maybe she sees something and she realizes, no, absolutely not. I'm not sure on that if she's going to realize or if she still might be like, okay, maybe we did it. I think she's going to realize. But it also sets up that she's exiled. Okay, they have to look at the cycle because she said it's been translated for 3,000 years by many Aes Sedai. It could be wrong, so they have to go back and study again. Well, now she's exiled. She can't go back to the tower, so that's why she has to go to the sisters' houses to study more on the cycle. So, I feel like all of these things were peppered in to lead us into what they're doing for stuff in the Great Hunt.
Okay. Basically, you think that we're going to get a lot of this setup of why she hangs out with the siblings, I think it is, and she studies things outside of the tower. She can't go back to the tower because of this. It kind of giving her reasons to not go. I like that. What do you think about this?
Yeah, and then
go ahead, Jessica.
I was like, yeah, and then Rand thinks he killed the Dark One. I think he's still going to be convinced, but Moraine isn't.
Okay. So you think, and you think that the ending is going to be kind of what Rand believes in the books, basically, that he has succeeded. Amy, what do you think? Do you think we're going to get a very book-centric ending to this?
I think in that respect, I think that's something that I think will, wow, that's a lot of I thinks will happen. But I just don't know. Yeah. Also, I'm tired. I'm like,
what, Amy?
Right.
It's just like 3-hour live streams aren't your. You don't do this daily? What?
I'm not a pro like some people here, so I'm just like, yeah, that's all sound good.
Oh my gosh! Like all the details are like, there's like people in a book.
It kind of happened. I'm sorry, like Jessica. Theories. It was really well. That also.
No, I love it. I love it, Jess. No, I love that. Well, what I love about what you're saying is this, and this goes to all the people in chat that are like, this is not the books. I get it. What I do love is just how much that they are holding to the storyline, and instead of giving us Camelin, we got Tar Valon, but we still got like very specific scenes that we got in both those books. And they're obviously going to, if you look at the dotted line on the image that they released, they're obviously going towards Fal Dara, and if you follow the dotted line, they're going beyond that. They're talking about the Eye of the World, right? Like we're getting what ends up being a much slower, very Eye of the World centric book adaptation that I'm shocked. I'm like shocked that we're getting, honestly. I really thought we were going to go much further. I did not think they were going to hold to some of this stuff. So I like that Jessica, you're like, oh, actually I see some more things coming from the books and you're connecting them. So I appreciate that. It's great thoughts there.
Yeah.
So, love it.
I just think it makes the Eye of the World make more sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Being the Dark One's prison. That's why they go there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's an interesting kind of twist to that. And like you said, beating or defeating the Dark One is kind of what Rand feels like he's done. And so holding to that would be an interesting choice for them. Or not interesting. It would be a very book choice, I guess, for them to make.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, favorite moment from episode 6?
Oh, goodness. I guess I would have to say when Moraine channeled into the picture. So I'm kind of with you that it was a dream shard, but I had said before the episode, I had like an epiphany. Oh my gosh, she's gonna go to Tel'aran'rhiod. So even if it's not specifically Tel'aran'rhiod and it's still a dream shard, it's adjacent. It's close enough for me that I was like, yeah.
It's totally adjacent. It's totally adjacent.
Yeah.
I was being pedantic answering things about Tel'aran'rhiod and the dream shard, but they are adjacent and they're related. It just has to go back to when I asked Robert Jordan a question. That wasn't a thing. I wasn't trying to say like, yeah, I talked to Robert Jordan. I literally did ask him a question about, or submitted a question to be asked about. I wanted him to tell me that everything was Tel'aran'rhiod, and we actually gave him words. We're like, we can even call it Tel'aran'rhiod proper, just because you call it the world of dreams. Let's just say Tel'aran'rhiod is like the general concept, and we'll call it Tel'aran'rhiod proper, is where everyone goes to see the non-permanent reflection. And he was like, no. Those are all different things. When you're talking about like skimming, I was like, no, but skimming technically is connected. And then there's like this gap of infinity. It's kind of all connected because a person with dreaming talents, they go in there and no, he shut us down and it annoyed me. And that I can't just call it all Tel'aran'rhiod. And so when I see people are like, that's Tel'aran'rhiod, I'm like, no, in fact, Robert Jordan, no.
I'm holding on to this.
Freaking wouldn't give it to me. And I'm really, we came up with the vocabulary so he could tell us yes to that question. And he was like, no, they're different. So
he took it down.
You've remembered it all these years.
I was going to say that
held on. I held on to that one. So, okay, everybody. Jessica, thank you very much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being our last caller tonight. We all need to go get some sleep, I think. Sit on the
Thanks,
Hey, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Jessica's awesome. She's always bringing the theories. Oh man. She showed up. I had her she was like 6 hours 7 into a live stream. And I was like, Jessica, welcome. What are your thoughts? She came with the receipts. She had like a book of theories. I was like, you're amazing. So when I heard her, I was like, give me the theory. Okay. So our last poll here, can Fane channel? No, people are not into that idea. So Amy, thank you for doing this. This is this is what we do around here. So hopefully
you go hard, and I respect it.
Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this was you've been waiting this long. I'm so glad with the screeners you're finally able to talk about this episode. So let me give you a final word here. I can't remember if I asked you this, but remind me, what was your favorite, because I know you love this episode, favorite single moment from this before we end this episode?
Single moment. Oh, why did you do this to me? I quit. When Swan favorite in a painful way, but when she exiles Moraine, that was really powerful and just knocked me off my feet. So favorite, even though I didn't like it in principle.
I will absolutely remember that moment. And for you, Mash the Deck, what was your favorite?
Oh, this is such a cruel question. I have to. Okay, I'm gonna be on brand. I think my favorite moment was Rand pulling a sword on Lan and Moraine.
I was like, this has got to be a bit. I hope it's a bit.
I looked away while I was thinking, and I look up.
This is the end. This is the end, everybody.
You ruined it, man.
Sorry, you had something really cool to say. I just wanted to see Amy's face when the smoke started coming up behind me.
I was like, let's what? Yeah. Then I was like, no, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Please, you would not be that calm if you were on fire.
And I'm the one that's dying. Yeah. Oh my God.
We're just look, Moraine had her own like steam tent moments. She wanted to get the final, she's been doing a 3-hour live stream, and she was just like, Megan, I'm going to do it here. So I wanted to kind of bring some...
You get relaxed.
Yeah, we're relaxing at the very end. So sorry, Mash the Deck, you were saying something.
Was I?
I don't know.
Oh gosh. Okay. Breathing in the steam. All right. So on brand. When Rand drew his sword on Lan.
Okay.
Because he was ready to die before he would let Moraine hurt his friend.
Yeah.
And then Matt saying, "Bless his heart, he tried."
Yes.
Just that right there. It was just, those were my boys. Okay.
Yep. I agree. It's a great moment. If people ask why I love this episode, that whole scene where they walk in and they heal. That whole scene is just a fantastic scene.
But like I said, one of a slew of things that I could pull out and be like, I love that, and I love this, and I like this.
Yeah.
But Zach just said, the steam may be known to cause cancer by the state of California, but I'm down. On that note, everybody, hopefully you've enjoyed this, our live after show that we do. We'll be doing this next week. We have a special version of this for episode 8 that I'll tell you more about next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. Don't forget to show up tomorrow. That's right. Go sleep. Come back here in about 12 hours. I'm going to be chatting with Taylor Napier, who plays Maxim, one of Alana's warders. Taylor is awesome. He calls himself like the fun warder, and he's great. He's great. So with that being said, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Master Deck. Thank you all for your comments. Hopefully I caught them all. Thank you for our callers. This is a ridiculous 3-hour thing that we do, sometimes 4 hours, whatever it is. Amy, go get some sleep. Appreciate you spending the time here with us. Thank you very much. And as we say around, a good night from the Dusty Wheel, and smash to black. You went right to kill it. Look at you. You're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is
really well. And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that, and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the 2 rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
sad. I see Lucomi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge! Yay!
Pair of baby face mounted on a huge body. So all of a sudden,
this is not just a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi elements. And just a moment ago, Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and probably I would say put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,